With a cold, calculated look in his eyes, our boy Cao Shu pulls the trigger, landing a perfect, fatal shot right into the chest of the wealthy boss, which instantly sends the boss's bodyguards into a panicked, trigger-happy frenzy, riddling Cao Shu with a barrage of bullets before he can even make a run for it, leaving him bleeding out on the cold pavement, completely satisfied with his suicidal revenge, while the corrupt Tycoon lies dead beside him, proving that money can't buy a second life. But as the light fades, Cao Shu can't help but curse the unfairness of his tragic fate, reaching out toward the sky one last time as his vision begins to blur, only to find himself falling into a dark, endless abyss of pure nothingness, until his eyes suddenly snap open, signaling that his story is far from over. He wakes up in a modest, sunlit bedroom, completely devoid of any bullet holes. Clutching his perfectly intact chest, Nian gasps in utter disbelief at his sudden survival, scanning the messy room only to realize this is his old college student apartment, while the television screen blares an advertisement for the newly launched virtual reality game, Conviction, confirming his wild suspicion that he has actually traveled back to the very beginning. Standing before the mirror, Nian holds up a framed photo of his family, remembering his parents back when they were still happy, healthy, and alive, before their border trading business struck gold by selling rare, highly valuable strategic mineral ores, which quickly funded a massive smelting empire that showered his family in unimaginable wealth, until that massive mountain of cash inevitably attracted some incredibly dangerous, greedy predators. Nian remembers how Cao Xu's ruthless financial empire drove his parents to an early, tragic grave, having spent his youth as a lazy, rich slacker before losing everything and choosing mutual destruction. But with this miraculous second chance, he vows never to let his family suffer that fate again, especially since he can exploit his past life knowledge as a level 180 great thief in the game Conviction, which according to his phone has only been launched for a mere 7 days, giving him the perfect window to catch up and completely rewrite his family's tragic future. Checking his bank account, he realizes he has just enough cash to buy a basic gaming helmet, gripping his clothes in sheer determination as he prepares to dismantle Cao Shu's entire empire, throwing on his jacket with a newfound fire burning in his eyes as he steps toward his destiny, ready to conquer the virtual world under the quiet cover of the night. Holding up the sleek VR helmet, Nian prepares to dive in despite his 7-day delay, slipping the device over his head as the system initiates his digital descent, where he is greeted by a massive world map divided into 3 distinct factions, ranging from the human-led Viridian Empire to the tribal alliance of the Citrine Empire, not to mention the dark faction ruled by ruthless Domincan and undead tyrants, or the massive peace-loving giants who prefer to stay out of everyone's way. But Nian immediately locks in his choice to recreate his legendary Gale Thief, instantly transforming his avatar into a swift, shadow-stepping master of the blade, spawning right above the floating capital of the Viridian Empire to choose his name, officially entering the virtual battlefield under his legendary new alias, Nirvana Flame, spawning directly into Kalori City, the massive, bustling capital of the Viridian Empire. Nian stares at his level 1 stats, feeling the incredibly familiar rush of his old life, allocating his points with absolute precision to avoid the rookie mistakes of his past life, as he steps out into the crowded plaza where players are constantly teleporting in, only to immediately spot a merchant trying to hustle newbies with overpriced starter daggers, a classic scam that our boy fell for last time but not today. Nearby, another player is shouting to sell a rare stealth skill book for 6 coppers, which is way too expensive for the average player but instantly catches Nian's eye, prompting him to step up and negotiate for the essential early game thief skill, knowing it is the key to unlocking a high-level hidden chest before anyone else. Nian casually proposes a trade, offering a game-changing secret in exchange for the book. This seller instantly scoffs, calling our boy a delusional nutjob trying to score free loot. But Nian calmly reveals he knows the seller farmed those books from fallen shamans, even dropping the exact coordinates of the spawn point, leaving the merchant completely dumbfounded. Sweating bullets, the seller wonders how a level 0 newbie could possibly possess such god-tier knowledge. Realizing the massive profit potential, he eagerly hands over the purple skill book to seal the deal. Grabbing the book, Nian happily delivers on his promise and explains the camp's layout. Before the guy runs off, Nian casually requests any spare night vision skills he drops. With a nod, the grateful merchant eagerly agrees before teleporting away to start his farming session, leaving Nian ready to finally unlock that high-level hidden chest with his brand new stealth skill. Arriving in Telic Town, Nian takes in the bustling medieval streets of his starting zone. He immediately cracks open the purple skill book, instantly mastering the essential stealth ability. With a light step, his feet barely make a sound on the stone pavement, activating the skill as his body begins to blur into a faint, shadowy outline. Before anyone can even blink, he blitzes straight through the massive town gates, leaping gracefully through the dense forest canopy with the agility of a seasoned pro, until he finally slips into the dangerous territory known as the Wild Cat Zone. Creepy, one-eyed feline monsters roam the shadows, completely unaware of the invisible intruder in their midst. But Nian only has eyes for the silver chest guarded by level 5 beasts, knowing that in this game, higher chest tiers mean absolutely game-breaking legendary loot. Spotting the gleaming silver chest nestled high up in a tree branch, Nian smiles, knowing that even if he fails this crazy level 5 stunt, he has absolutely nothing to lose. so he immediately triggers his stealth skill and dashes forward like a silent phantom, weaving through the dense forest while carefully avoiding the patrol paths of the deadly wild cats. With only a tight 2-minute window before his invisibility wears off, speed is his only ally. But one of the sharp-eyed felines suddenly senses a strange disturbance in the air, forcing our boy to pull off a slick mid-air dodge to avoid its razor-sharp claws, executing a flawless acrobatic flip to maintain his distance from the rest of the pack before landing with feather-light precision right on the massive branch holding his prize. He immediately begins unlocking the chest, praying his stealth holds out for just a few more seconds. Keeping his cool, Nian reminds himself that his stealth could shatter at any second, while the deadly wild cats patrol the forest floor right beneath his dangling boots. But with a satisfying click, the silver chest pops open in just 27 seconds, revealing a glowing blue item that makes our boy's eyes light up with pure greed. He pulls out a rare skill book, the ultimate prize for his high-risk gamble, which turns out to be Vital Strike, a legendary skill that deals massive critical damage, a total game changer that will easily cut his early game leveling grind in half. So he immediately absorbs the magic book, officially mastering the devastating new attack. Right on cue, his stealth timer runs out, drawing the angry gaze of the felines, forcing Nian to dive headfirst into the hungry pack waiting below. Nian flashes a cheeky grin at the furious felines, thanking them for guarding his loot. Since he is still level 0, letting them shred him is actually a genius shortcut, losing only a worthless starter gauntlet while securing a free teleport back to town. Reassembling in the town square, our boy celebrates his highly efficient, zero-cost fast travel method before immediately pivoting to the second phase of his master plan to break the game. He navigates the winding streets of the starting village, eyeing his next crucial destination, which requires 20 coppers he does not have, forcing him to hunt down a hidden quest. First, he tracks down Hunter Klaus to accept a seemingly tedious rat-hunting chore. Then he immediately stacks it with another extermination task from a local farmer, triggering a secret chain reaction that unlocks a highly lucrative hidden quest from the local apothecary. With a devious grin, Nian accepts the hidden quest to hunt down 21 giant rat tails, finding his first target lurking in the tall grass with 53 points of health. But our boy instantly deletes it with a single overpowered Vital Strike for massive damage, securing both a giant rat tail and a rare skull on his very first attempt. Moments later, another clean kill triggers a rare golden flash of dropped equipment, revealing a pair of white-grade leather leggings restricted to the warrior class, which is totally useless to a thief but will easily net him 7 coppers at auction. Suddenly, a whole pack of angry rodents rushes out from the shadows to avenge their fallen comrade, prompting Nian to weave through their ranks like a ghost, unleashing a flurry of critical strikes, as he speeds up his farming pace to complete his quest in record time. 1 hour later, Nian wraps up his farming spree and heads back to the village, cashing in all 3 quests to pocket a sweet 34 coppers and 3 health potions, before immediately listing those useless warrior leggings on the auction house to fund his next purchase. Stepping up to the local weapon shop, he prepares to buy some crucial early-game firepower, where the enthusiastic blacksmith proudly boasts about having the finest gear in the entire region. But Nian cuts right to the chase, demanding a level 0 crossbow with specific high-tier stats, prompting the merchant to pull out his absolute masterpiece for a cool 35 coppers. Our boy slaps down 44 coppers to secure the weapon along with 9,000 bolts, leaving the shopkeeper waving happily as Nian walks away with his deadly new toy, ready to test his brand new rapid-fire weapon on the unsuspecting beasts in the wild bison zone. This game's brutal level suppression makes these level 8 wild bison absolute nightmares for normal players, but Nian is armed with future knowledge and zero fear of their terrifying stats. Arriving at the rocky canyon overlooking the grassy fields of the wild bison zone, our boy leaps down onto a narrow stone ledge to secure the ultimate high ground, checking his coordinates to confirm he has found the perfect, unreachable cheese spot, where he immediately spots his target roaming the grassy plains right below his perch. This level 8 bison leader boasts a massive 300 health points and terrifying attack power, casually aiming his newly purchased rapid-fire crossbow down at the beast with a smug grin, pulling the trigger to unleash a volley of sharp bolts whistling through the air, only to watch 2 bolts miss completely while the third deals a pathetic single point of damage. Nian isn't worried about the low damage, since he brought 9,000 bolts to finish the job. This massive bison leader takes a barrage of bolts, mostly dodging them while losing single points of health. Enraged by the constant annoying tickles, the level 8 beast roars and prepares to charge. It hurls its massive body straight toward the rocky cliffside in a desperate bid to crush him, but Nian just smirks, knowing this terrain bug makes him completely untouchable to the furious monster. He continues firing from his safe perch, slowly chipping away at the beast's massive health pool, unleashing a relentless storm of bolts that fills the entire canyon with chaotic sounds of battle, while his massive ammunition stash rapidly dwindles from 8,000 down to just 5,000. 3 grueling hours of continuous shooting pass, leaving the exhausted beast on the brink of collapse. Even our boy is starting to sweat, realizing this stubborn boss is eating through his ammo supply. This enraged bison leader roars in agony as another volley of bolts pierces its skull, with its health bar clinging to a single pixel despite dodging most of the incoming fire, until one final bolt hits the mark, sending the massive beast crashing down into the dirt. Leaping down from his rocky perch, Nian approaches the defeated boss to claim his hard-earned reward. instantly triggering a massive 1800% experience bonus that shoots him straight to level 2, before he eagerly crouches down to inspect the glowing red loot left behind by the beast. He pulls out a rare bronze-grade horn dagger, a massive upgrade for any early-game thief, which boasts a 20% attack boost compared to standard gear, making it incredibly valuable at this stage, estimating its worth at 3 silver coins once he gets it properly appraised back in town. Just then, his leggings sell at auction, right before a famous paladin named Flying Stone requests a call. Flying Stone excitedly yells through the call, thanking our boy for the god-tier farming coordinates. Nian calmly tells him to just send over a night vision book when it finally drops, lying that he simply deleted his old high-level account to restart fresh as a thief, which prompts the amazed paladin to ask for help with a dungeon that keeps wiping his team. Seizing the business opportunity, Nian casually offers a full walkthrough for a flat fee of 2 silver coins, and the desperate paladin eagerly agrees, promising to convince his captain to pay up immediately. With another lucrative deal lined up, our boy heads back to town to appraise his new dagger, slipping through the busy streets of Telok Town toward the local item identification shop, where a gorgeous elven appraiser greets him as he slides the mysterious horn dagger onto her counter. She inspects the blade with a sly smile, demanding a steep 10 copper fee to reveal its true stats. Our boy quickly calculates the math behind that seemingly steep 10 copper fee, realizing his prize is worth a fortune, so he happily tosses over the coins, prompting the gorgeous elf to channel her magic, wrapping the blade in a warm glow. This newly revealed stats are absolutely insane, boasting a massive attack boost and bonus strength. Clutching the glowing blade, Nian smirks, knowing this gear gap makes him practically invincible, but he still needs a reliable way to heal himself during long, grueling battles. While normal players waste money on expensive potions, he targets the superior combat bandage skill. First, he stops by the local pharmacy to purchase 2 basic underwater breathing potions, securing the essential supplies before heading out to hunt down his next game-breaking skill book. His destination is Lake Rando, a scenic but highly dangerous zone teeming with high-level threats. Arriving at the lake, Nian immediately stays on high alert to avoid any sudden PvP ambushes, since crossing the heavily guarded merfolk village would normally require a massive 1,000-player raid force, but his planning is cut short by a sudden regional announcement warning of an imminent guild field wipe. This tyrannical guild used to hunt Nian in his past life, making this the perfect time for payback, so he immediately triggers his stealth skill to slip past their perimeter unnoticed. Weaving through the high-level sentries, our boy moves like a shadow toward the deep water. But just as his invisibility wears off, a sudden fireball comes hurtling straight toward his back, taking a heavy hit that triggers his self-defense mode and flags his attacker for retaliation. This culprit is a level 3 mage from Victorious Return, who smugly orders our boy to scram, but Nian knows the golden rule of fighting mages is to close the distance instantly. Knowing the mage's pyroblast takes 2 full seconds to cast, Nian lunges straight for his face, landing a swift strike that instantly interrupts the spell and shaves off 21 health points. But the stubborn spellcaster quickly retreats while screaming about his guild's absolute authority over the zone, unleashing a blazing explosive fire ring to trap our boy in a circle of roaring flames. Nian braces for impact, taking 39 points of damage as the fiery blast washes over him, promptly downing a basic health potion to instantly restore 89 points of life, before closing the gap again to slash the panicked mage for another 36 damage. Desperate to survive, the spellcaster activates a repulsion fire ring to blast the thief away, sending Nian sliding backward across the dirt as the shockwave forces him to defend. While the delusional mage prepares a final fireball, completely unaware that his target is still healthy, Nian easily slips past the blazing spell, closing the distance before the mage can react, gripping his newly appraised bronze dagger tightly as he prepares to deliver the final blow, unleashing a devastating vital strike that slices clean through the panicked spellcaster's defenses, leaving the dying mage utterly baffled by how a low-level thief survived his signature fireball, who desperately tries to rationalize our boy's wealth before his character begins to pixelate, sending him straight back to the graveyard with a cheeky piece of parting advice, pocketing the dead player's bronze staff as a nice little bonus before planning his escape. But the victim's guildmates are already sounding the alarm, hunting for the mysterious killer, charging toward the shoreline in a furious attempt to corner the fleeing thief. Unfortunately for them, catching Nian is going to take a lot more than angry shouting. A massive warrior leaps from the cliff, swinging a giant glowing greatsword right at our boy. But Nian effortlessly slides under the blazing slash, leaving the attacker hitting empty air, leaving the warrior staring in absolute disbelief, completely baffled by how a thief moved that fast, realizing too late that Nian is already downing his underwater breathing potion mid-air, prompting the panicked guild members to launch a coordinated desperate charge down the rocky slope, as the duo unleashes a combined assault to pin him down before he reaches the water. But our boy just gives them a cold, parting glance as he prepares to dive, executing a flawless dive right past their flashing blades and straight toward the lake below, crashing into the deep water with a massive splash that completely conceals his escape, leaving the angry pursuers stranded on the shore, realizing they brought zero water gear to this fight. Back on the cliff, the red-armored leader demands answers as her squad admits they completely lost him, hoping their recently deceased mage can at least provide the mysterious thief's username before he respawns. And the name Nirvana Flame immediately gets marked as their guild's absolute #1 target, completely oblivious to the fact that Ni Yan is already hunting for hidden treasure chests underwater, using his past life memory to pinpoint a glowing silver chest nestled quietly in the deep seaweed. Popping it open, he pulls out a water-repelling pearl to secure permanent underwater breathing. But his celebration is cut short when a sharp golden trident suddenly whistles past his face, forcing him to dodge a relentless barrage of projectiles from a highly territorial local defense squad, realizing too late that fighting high-level aquatic monsters in their own element is a death sentence, especially when those monsters are a pack of angry merfolk with glowing eyes and zero hospitality. A massive explosion suddenly rocks the merfolk tribal village, sending plumes of fire into the sky, as the furious aquatic monsters lash out at the invading players with terrifying force, which works out perfectly for Ni Yan, who happily lets his enemies draw all the aggro. He swims deeper into the cavern, officially discovering the legendary heart of the lake island, before breaking through the water's surface to take a much-needed breath of fresh air, only to freeze when he spots a familiar pink-haired mage waiting in the shallows nearby. This is Yao Yao, a powerful holy mage who fought right alongside him in his past life, bringing back memories of a deep shared history that he never expected to revisit so soon. Meanwhile, the panicked mage spots him and immediately fears the worst with 3 monsters on her tail. But our boy launches himself from the water, dagger drawn to save his old friend. Ni Yan drops from above like a meteor, unleashing a devastating vital strike on the nearest monster, while Yao Yao keeps her cool, channeling a blinding holy judgment spell to blast another beast back, combining their lethal offense to shred through the high-level water spiders in a flurry of light and steel. With their pursuers dissolved into glowing blue pixels, the pink-haired mage politely offers her sincere thanks, prompting our boy to casually wave it off before introducing himself by his in-game alias, Nirvana Flame. Hearing that legendary name instantly sends a visible shockwave of disbelief straight through the young mage, who immediately connects the dots to realize this mysterious savior is actually her old friend Ni Yan. Quickly masking her shock, she introduces herself as Yao Yao and sends over a formal friend request, which our boy happily accepts before asking what business brought her to this dangerous island, leading her to reveal her spider-hunting quest, which perfectly aligns with his own farming goals. Yao Yao opens a trade window, offering him some valuable fine silk as a thank you gift. Ni Yan accepts the trade, realizing these 12 silks are worth a neat 36 copper coins. Since she insists her life is worth far more than some cheap crafting materials, he gladly pockets them. But their peaceful moment is shattered when a massive water spider lord drops right on their heads. Reacting instantly, our boy sends a party invite to coordinate their defense against the giant beast, before leaping forward to deliver a swift vital strike that chips away at its massive health pool, while Yao Yao raises her staff to channel another blinding burst of holy judgment magic, slamming the boss with 70 points of radiant damage that leaves it reeling in pain. As the furious spider slams its heavy legs down, Ni Yan yells for her to jump back, pulling out his crossbow mid-air to draw the monster's aggro while she prepares her next spell. 3 of his crossbow bolts pierce the giant spider, dealing solid damage to draw its attention. Seizing the opening, Yao Yao channels her radiant magic to unleash a devastating double spell combo. This blinding holy blast slams directly into the boss, shaving off another 70 points of health. And with one final splash, the giant beast collapses dead into the shallow lake water. Yao Yao watches him in awe, marveling at how their coordination felt completely effortless and natural. Noticing her staring, our boy turns back with a calm smile to ask if something is wrong. She casually asks why a player with his insane skills is out here grinding all alone, before inviting him to join her team's upcoming raid on the dangerous Trent Forest Dungeon. Ni Yan immediately gets pragmatic, asking for the exact defense and health stats of their frontline tanks, and she quickly replies that they have 2 shield warriors boasting 53 defense and substantial health. Ni Yan shakes his head, explaining that a measly 53 defense means their tanks will get instantly one-shotted, leaving Yao Yao completely stunned as she wonders how on earth he knows these top-secret boss mechanics. Especially since her team has spent days preparing and getting bronze-tier defense gear is practically impossible right now. But our boy casually offers a much simpler solution, demanding complete command over her entire raiding party. Though she trusts his insane skills, she admits convincing her stubborn guildmates won't be an easy task. Before worrying about politics, Ni Yan turns his attention back to the glowing loot left by the spider, using his rare appraisal skill to instantly identify a pair of bronze-grade fine silk gauntlets, which he immediately hands over to Yao Yao since they are perfectly tailored for a mage, while pocketing a rare assassinate skill book and some extra silk to satisfy his own class needs. Thrilled with her new gear, the pink-haired mage happily accepts the gift without any polite hesitation. Suddenly, a flashing system notification warns them that the server is shutting down in 3 minutes. prompting Yao Yao to wave a cheerful goodbye as her avatar begins to pixelate into light. And Ni Yan quickly follows suit, logging off to wrap up a highly successful grinding session. Pulling off his heavy gaming helmet, our boy wakes up in his sunny real-world bedroom. Slipping on his running shoes, he decides it is time to get his physical body in shape. Knowing his future enemies in the real world will definitely have dangerous bodyguards on their payroll. But his peaceful morning jog through the neighborhood is cut short by a sudden screech of tires as a massive delivery truck comes barreling right toward him, forcing a desperate split-second reaction. Ni Yan throws himself backward onto the hard asphalt, narrowly avoiding a fatal high-speed collision. Groaning on the pavement, he looks up in confusion as a familiar voice calls out his name. Standing right there is Xie Yao, his real-world classmate and the biggest regret of his past life. She rushes over to grab his hand, immediately scolding him for being so incredibly reckless. While she grabs a first aid kit, Ni Yan remembers how his past life enemies drove her to madness. Gently wrapping his scraped elbow, she continues lecturing him about his total lack of self-preservation. Our boy just stares back with a warm, confident smile that completely catches her off guard. He playfully points out that he has her to look after him, leaving her flustered and blushing, prompting her to huff in embarrassment before storming back to her car to make a swift escape. She wonders if this newly confident version of Ni Yan could actually be the legendary Nirvana Flame. As she drives away, Ni Yan's expression hardens with a burning resolve to crush his future enemies. This dark moment is suddenly interrupted by a loud phone call from his best friend. Tang Yao is absolutely screaming through the phone, demanding to know where our boy disappeared to. Hearing his best friend's voice brings back memories of how Tang Yao risked everything to support him, but that same loyalty led to his tragic death in a dark alley during their past life. Fortunately, Ni Yan can rewrite history, starting right now as Tang Yao ambushes him with a headlock. This blonde immediately asks if he's playing Conviction, thrilled to hear our boy is already level 2, before bragging about his own level 3 mage and dragging him toward the local PK bar. This high-tech gaming club lets players duel using their actual characters without affecting their main game progress, though it inevitably involves high-stakes gear wagers that Tang Yao constantly loses due to his gambling addiction. A smug rival named Wei Kai blocks their path, mocking the blonde for returning to donate more cash, only to turn his arrogant gaze to Ni Yan, sneering about whether he wants another painful lesson. Tang Yao slings an arm over our boy's shoulder, promising to protect him from any trouble, but Wei Kai can't help but notice how eerily calm Ni Yan seems compared to before, prompting the eager blonde to grab his helmet and challenge the bully to a high-stakes duel, as both players lock into their gaming pods to settle their beef in the virtual arena. Watching from the sidelines, Ni Yan instantly calculates the massive class disadvantage his best friend faces. Knowing the open plains map leaves a squishy mage with absolutely zero places to hide. Meanwhile, a smug bystander named Shifeng approaches our boy to demand a match of their own, which Ni Yan coolly accepts on the condition that they make the wager worth his time. Infuriated by the kid's sheer arrogance, the challenger bets his entire stash of 700 credits, setting the stage for an intense level 2 clash between a nimble thief and a deadly ranger. This virtual arena loads them directly into a dense, towering bamboo forest battlefield. Shifeng sneers as Ni Yan immediately vanishes into thin air using stealth, leaving only a gentle breeze rustling quietly through the empty, swaying bamboo stalks. Leaping through the branches, the arrogant ranger is determined to hunt down his hidden opponent, but his smug confidence quickly fades when he finds absolutely nothing below him, unaware that Ni Yan is lurking directly above him, utilizing 10 years of pro experience. Dropping silently from the canopy, our boy completely blindsides the clueless ranger from behind, slamming his dagger home for a clean 40 points of sudden backstab damage. Desperately spinning around to counter, the panicked ranger finds only empty air, as Ni Yan prepares to end this match instantly with a lethal vital strike. Ni Yan's dagger strikes true, shaving off 70 health points in a single devastating blow, sending the arrogant ranger straight to the graveyard as his avatar dissolves into digital dust, leaving the stunned onlookers in the gaming club completely speechless at the lightning-fast victory. Our boy casually steps out of his pod wearing a smug smile that screams absolute dominance, while a sweating Shifeng stares at his helmet, utterly baffled by that flawless one-hit execution, wondering how the neighborhood's usual pushover suddenly transformed into a cold-blooded gaming god. Historically, Ni Yan always swallowed his anger, but those days of taking abuse are officially over. Meanwhile, a depressed Tang Yao walks over to confess he just lost 1,200 credits, complaining that his rival's new anti-magic aura completely shut down his spellcasting capabilities. But the clever thief just smiles, explaining that the scary-sounding buff is actually incredibly easy to counter. Tang Yao scratches his chin in absolute disbelief, wondering where on earth his buddy learned all these pro tactics. But Ni Yan just casually hands over the freshly won cash, leaving the blonde completely dumbfounded, before their sore-loser rivals suddenly step in, shouting about how they won't let some kids act so arrogant. This angry thug lunges forward to throw a punch, determined to teach our boy a physical lesson, only for Ni Yan to effortlessly catch his wrist mid-air with a grip like a steel vise, and with a swift practiced twist, he slams the aggressive bully flat onto the hard floor. Remembering his past life training to survive against corporate hitmen, our boy doesn't even break a sweat, leaving Tang Yao staring at his back, utterly shocked by his friend's sudden terrifying combat skills. Meanwhile, the remaining bullies quickly back away, whispering that this kid is definitely not someone to mess with. As Wei Kai glares in silence, finally realizing that the neighborhood's favorite punching bag has officially changed, Wei Kai steps in to block his retreating lackeys, demanding to know if our boy just beat his underling. But Nian remains completely unfazed, casually roasting the fallen bully for being incredibly weak. Infuriated by the disrespect, the blue-haired leader challenges him to a high-stakes duel of their own, prompting Tong Yao to protest that a level 3 berserker fighting a level 2 thief is pure bullying. But our boy just flashes a confident smirk, raising the stakes to 3,000 credits a round. Wei Kai eagerly accepts the massive wager, confident that a mere level 2 thief stands absolutely zero chance, while Tang Yao grabs his friend's shoulders in a panic, asking if he has actually lost his mind. Nian casually asks to borrow the cash, prompting the loyal blonde to risk his entire savings on the bet. With the massive wager locked in, both players load directly into the virtual arena for their high-stakes clash, spawning onto a vast open grassland map where the two combatants prepare to settle their score. Tang Yao panics immediately, realizing this wide-open grassland offers absolutely zero cover for a stealthy thief. Wei Kai smugly offers to change the map, but Nian casually declines the generous gesture, and with a cold glare, our boy immediately activates stealth to vanish into the open field, leaving the blue-haired berserker standing completely alone as a sudden breeze sweeps across the plains. This bully scans the empty horizon, his smug confidence quickly evaporating into pure, sweaty confusion. Knowing his footsteps in the grass will expose him, Nian decides to exploit the environment, timing his movements perfectly with the howling wind to mask his path across the field, which completely blindsides Wei Kai as he realizes he has lost track of his opponent entirely. Panicking, the berserker unleashes a wild, sweeping slash in a desperate bid to force a reveal, only to realize his opponent is playing him like a fiddle using the environment itself. Crouching low in the swaying grass, Nian patiently waits for the howling wind to pick up again, while a sweating Wei Kai grips his greatsword, assuming his opponent is creeping slowly right in front of him. Suddenly, another powerful gust of wind sweeps across the open plains, rustling the tall green blades, and our boy strikes like lightning, carving a deep gash into the berserker's back for 35 damage. Utterly shocked by the sudden ambush, the blue-haired bully swings his massive blade in a desperate counterattack, unleashing a devastating whirlwind slash that forces Nian to leap backward to avoid the lethal arc. Grazed by the outer edge for a minor 9 damage, our boy calmly analyzes his opponent's fatal mistake, knowing that committing to such a heavy weapon leaves a massive 1-second recovery window after the spin. Sure enough, Wei Kai's giant sword crashes heavily into the dirt, leaving him completely frozen in lag. Seizing this golden opportunity, the nimble thief instantly dashes forward through the grass to deliver the final blow. Nian unleashes a devastating vital strike, slicing right through his opponent's defenses. This crowd gasps in absolute shock at our boy's flawless, high-level execution. This strike connects beautifully, shaving off a massive 95 health points from the berserker, leaving Wei Kai clinging to life as he desperately activates his fiery flame slash skill. His blue-haired opponent swings his blazing greatsword downward, aiming to incinerate our boy, prompting Tong Yao to scream from the sidelines for his friend to dodge quickly. But Nian calmly decides to tank the hit to maintain his close-range advantage, taking 56 points of burning damage straight to the face without even flinching, which completely infuriates the berserker as he rages at the kid's sheer audacity, forcing Wei Kai to unleash a desperate, wide-sweeping one-strike slash to end it. Wei Kai unleashes a desperate charge skill, aiming to stun our boy and end the duel. Tang Yao panics from the sidelines, knowing a single hit will leave his friend completely defenseless. But Nian defies all gaming logic by cleanly dodging the strike at point-blank range, tightening his grip on his dagger as he prepares to exploit his opponent's massive recovery lag. And with a blindingly fast counterattack, he drives his blade straight through the berserker's guard, sending the blue-haired bully flying backward across the field from the sheer force of the impact, as Wei Kai's health bar instantly plummets to 0, sealing his humiliating defeat. Although our boy took 40 points of damage from the initial clash, he stands victorious, staring down at his glowing victory screen with the cold, calm gaze of a true pro, leaving Tong Yao cheering wildly while the stunned rivals clutch their heads in absolute disbelief. Staring blankly at his gaming helmet, the blue-haired bully struggles to process his humiliating defeat, while Tong Yao bounces around in pure excitement, completely ignoring Nian's casual claim of a fluke, and the eager blonde immediately begs our boy to teach him the secrets of the arcane mage. At that exact moment, Wei Kai approaches them with his crew, looking surprisingly calm after the beatdown. But instead of starting a physical fight, the blue-haired leader actually yields and accepts his loss, turning on his heel to leave before things get any more embarrassing for his gang. His confused lackey asks why he's playing nice, only for Wei Kai to warn him that Nian is dangerous. Meanwhile, our boy decides to treat his best friend to a nice dinner using their freshly won credits. And as night falls over the city, a quiet peace settles over the neighborhood. Back in his room, Nian pushes his body to the absolute limit with intense physical training. Admiring his newly toned physique, Nian realizes having a youthful body is an absolute cheat code, before he grabs his gaming helmet to log back into the virtual world of conviction, materializing instantly on a grassy riverbank as the system notifications begin to flood his screen. Several players are already blowing up his Zafox with friend requests and lucrative cash deposits, prompting our boy to strategically hold back his premium guides to drive up the market price. But first, he spots an old fisherman nearby and decides to cash in a hidden quest. Approaching the elderly physician Blevins, Nian hands over 30 rare fine silks to complete the task, which prompts the grateful old man to offer him a highly coveted combat healing skill, instantly teaching our boy the intermediate combat bandage technique to keep himself alive in tough fights. Yet his jaw drops when the system reveals this massive questline is only 20% complete. This old physician demands even more silk to continue, confirming Nian's suspicion about a massive chain quest, before a call from his pink-haired contact interrupts him, urging our boy to meet up with the guild immediately. Meanwhile, Tang Yao stands waiting at the town's teleportation plaza, wondering where his overpowered buddy is hiding. Nian suddenly appears with a grin, promising to carry him through a high-level Treant King dungeon run. As they approach the meeting spot, they spot a heavily geared party waiting near the town gates, where the pink-haired mage waves them over alongside a stunning, heavily armored beauty named Yu Lan, prompting the blonde mage to immediately lose his mind over the sudden influx of top-tier eye candy. While the pink-haired girl warns our boy that she went through hell to secure this elite invitation. This grumpy wind thief named Chen Bo merely scoffs, clearly unimpressed by the newcomer's casual attitude. Yulan steps forward to size up Nian, quietly noting his calm demeanor matches that of a true expert. Nian confidently claims he can clear the forest, but only if he takes absolute command, leaving the rest of the elite party members staring at him in tense, skeptical silence, as Chen Bo immediately scoffs, demanding to know why they should trust a total stranger, prompting Yulan to quickly snap back, reminding the grumpy thief of their pre-raid agreement, before she turns to apologize to our boy and offers him full leadership of the raid. Accepting the offer, Nian pulls up his interface to officially form the dungeon party, and a flood of system notifications confirms the elite players are falling into line, while Yulan sternly warns her crew that anyone defying the new captain gets kicked, forcing a bitter Chen Bo to swallow his pride and officially join the roster. Our boy seals the deal by promising a massive 10 silver payout if his leadership fails. This massive 10 silver guarantee immediately leaves the pink-haired mage and the main tank completely speechless, while Yulan quietly admits that our boy's supreme confidence might actually get them through the dungeon, and Nian immediately takes charge, ordering the entire squad to report their names and stats. This red-armored main tank steps up first, proudly listing his high defense and health pool, followed by the secondary tank and the fire mage as they quickly fall in line, but our boy immediately halts the introductions, ordering the party members to buy specific stat-boosting potions, prompting the purple-haired healer to whine about the high cost of consumables cutting into their profits, as the grumpy wind thief scoffs, claiming that relying on expensive potions is a sign of amateur leadership. Hearing the complaints, Tong Yao steps in with a smug grin, offering to lend the broke thief some cash, which instantly triggers the thief's rage as the blonde casually roasts him for being a total peasant. This pink-haired mage complains about wasting money on potions, completely unaware he plans to tackle expert difficulty. But Yulan shuts down the complaints, ordering the party to buy exactly what Nian requested. With their bags fully stocked, our boy leads his elite squad out of the city gates. Arriving at the dense treant forest where dozens of other players are already gathered, Nian tells the group to wait behind while he steps up to activate the portal, placing his hand on the ancient stone monument to trigger the glowing blue runes, which brings up the difficulty selection screen, ranging from basic easy all the way to expert. Without a single second of hesitation, our boy taps the red-hot expert difficulty button, instantly engulfing the entire party in a blinding pillar of light as they are teleported in. A system notification confirms their arrival, dropping them into the terrifying depths of the expert-grade forest. This team immediately panics, realizing their crazy new leader just dragged them into an expert-grade nightmare. Even Yulan is sweating, wondering if this mysterious thief planned to conquer this difficulty from the start. Naturally, the grumpy wind thief immediately starts yelling, accusing Nian of trying to get them all killed. But our boy just looks back coldly, telling the whiny thief to leave if he can't handle it. Seeing the drama unfold, the pink-haired mage steps in to defend Nian and shut down the hater, which completely blindsides Chen Bo as he desperately tries to explain he has no issue with her, while secretly boiling with rage that she would actually take an outsider's side over his own. Meanwhile, Nian casually explains the dungeon mechanics, treating a 30% health boost like a minor inconvenience, leaving Yulan completely baffled by his sheer confidence when a single mistake means a total wipe. And as the pink-haired mage voices her final doubts, our boy simply tells her to relax. Chen Bo glares in silent frustration, desperately waiting for our boy to fail his leadership test, as the group cautiously steps deeper into the eerie, vine-covered depths of the dark forest. Nian suddenly halts the squad, warning everyone to spread out before the hidden monsters strike. But the stubborn wind thief reacts too late as massive roots erupt from the dirt, wrapping around Chen Bo's body and trapping him in a suffocating, inescapable wooden grip, before violently slamming the helpless thief against the forest floor with bone-shattering force. A towering, red-eyed treant emerges from the shadows, dangling its captured prey high in the air, leaving the arrogant thief gasping for breath as the wooden coils tighten around his chest. forcing him to swallow his massive pride and scream for Nian to save his life, while the rest of the panicked party prepares to face the terrifying elite tree demon. Nian immediately barks out tactical orders, coordinating the tanks and mages with absolute precision. Responding instantly, the heavily armored paladins rush forward to intercept the monster's thrashing limbs, as the main tank braces himself, absorbing a massive wooden slam directly against his shield. This opening allows the backline mages to unleash a colorful barrage of devastating elemental spells, detonating the elite tree monster into a spectacular shower of splinters and blue light. With the monster dead, the severed roots release their grip, sending Chenbo crashing to the dirt, but instead of showing gratitude, the humiliated thief immediately blames our boy for the ambush, prompting Ni Yan to point out that even the slow shield warrior managed to dodge it. Tong Yao happily joins the roast, calling out the hater's complete lack of basic gaming skills, while Yulan steps in to shut down the whining, leaving the embarrassed thief completely isolated. Nian casually steps forward, offering to show the grumpy thief how to actually play his class. And with a sudden burst of speed, our boy dashes straight into the dense foliage, leaving the rest of the party scrambling to keep up with his insane pace. When a massive swinging log trap suddenly drops from the canopy right in his path, but he effortlessly vaults over the obstacle, using the momentum to propel himself even higher, dodging a deadly crossfire of hidden arrow traps with the grace of an acrobat, only for a massive glowing blue capture net to drop directly over his head. Without breaking his stride, he unsheathes his dagger and shreds the magical mesh to pieces, which leaves the skeptical party members watching from behind completely dumbfounded by his flawless mechanics, as even Yulan admits his trap-disabling efficiency is on a completely different level. Chenbo scoffs and leaps forward, determined to prove he can disable traps just as easily, but his very first step lands directly on a hidden pressure plate, instantly triggering a massive pit trap that sends him plunging toward a bed of sharp spikes. Staring death in the face, the terrified thief screams in panic as he plummets downward, when a hand suddenly grabs his ankle, halting his fatal descent at the very last second, as Ni Yan effortlessly yanks the heavy thief out of the pit and tosses him aside. Looking down coldly, our boy notes he's never seen a thief quite as terrible as him. Bruised and humiliated, Chen Bo points fingers, furiously accusing Ni Yan of setting him up. Tong Yao snaps back in anger, reminding the ungrateful idiot that he would be dead without help, while Ni Yan calmly explains that blindly following someone else's footsteps is just pure amateur hour. Furious at the humiliation, Chenbo draws his blade and demands an immediate duel, lunging forward with a deadly strike to prove he is the superior thief. But Ni Yan effortlessly catches the blade with 2 fingers, looking completely unimpressed, leaving the arrogant challenger sweating in absolute terror at this impossible gap in skill. Yulan steps in, scolding the thief for taking his own stupidity out on their savior, but Chenbo doubles down on his delusion, accusing our boy of setting him up. Even the main tank turns on him, pointing out that everyone can see his pathetic jealousy, prompting the humiliated thief to let out a bitter laugh before throwing a massive tantrum. And with his pride shattered, he officially rage quits the party and storms off into the woods. This pink-haired mage quickly apologizes, but Nikian just shrugs, glad the dead weight removed itself. Nikian realizes he needs to build his own loyal guild to avoid future headache, but Yulan quickly refocuses the group, urging them to prioritize survival over drama, especially since a massive wall of 12 elite tree demons is currently blocking their path, prompting the armored beauty to panic, though our boy calmly promises he won't make them fight all 12 at once, before he leaps onto a thick branch to execute his master plan with absolute stealth, leaving the remaining party members staring up in utter confusion at his sudden solo climb, only for him to pull out a sleek, glowing hand crossbow from his inventory, aiming down the sights with a smug grin as he prepares to show them how a real pro pulls aggro. And with a swift pull of the trigger, he unleashes a volley of bolts flying toward the monsters, sending the projectiles whistling through the canopy to perfectly bait the targets one by one. This rest of the squad instantly panics, convinced their new leader just made a fatal rookie mistake. But Ni Yan remains completely unfazed, calmly barking out precise coordinates to his trembling main tank, as the fired bolts strike their targets, perfectly peeling only 3 monsters away from the pack, leaving the remaining 9 elite tree demons completely oblivious to the stealthy pull. Watching this legendary pulling technique, Yulan stands frozen in absolute awe of his mechanical mastery, whispering to the pink-haired mage that even leaderboard-ranking thieves would fail to pull this off, while Yao Yao silently stares, realizing their survival rate just skyrocketed thanks to this mysterious expert. Suddenly, the 3 baited tree demons crash through the brush, ready to tear the party apart, prompting Boiled Water to step up, slamming his heavy shield forward to lock down the first monster, allowing Nian and the backline to unleash a devastating counterattack on the remaining targets. Boiled Water grins behind his heavy shield, realizing Nian's tactical advice works like a charm. Yulan charges in with her sword raised, eager to back up her struggling main tank, and with a coordinated strike, the party completely obliterates the remaining elite tree demons, sending the massive wooden monsters crashing down to the forest floor in a heap of splinters. Suddenly, a brilliant golden light erupts from the wreckage, signaling a rare loot drop, revealing a bronze-grade mage gauntlet that leaves the entire party staring in absolute disbelief, prompting the pink-haired mage to eagerly ask our boy how he pulled off such wizardry. Keeping his cool, Nian orders the squad to repeat this flawless pulling strategy as he fires another precise bolt to bait the next target from the pack, drawing the angry monster straight into their trap to be systematically dismantled. With their coordination finally locked in, the party systematically shreds through every single monster in their path, and 20 minutes later, the exhausted squad collapses onto the grass to admire their massive pile of loot. Realizing that Nian's insane strategy has yielded more high-tier gear than they ever dreamed of, our boy isn't even close to satisfied, his sharp eyes scanning the dark canopy for their true target, telling the stunned party to take a quick breather before they push deeper into the woods. Reaching a fork in the road, Nian confidently points toward the dark, ominous path heading west, prompting Yulan to warn him it's a dead end, though he secretly knows a hidden quest awaits. As they venture down the trail, strange glowing blue musical notes begin to drift through the air, which immediately alerts the party to a mysterious melody echoing from a clearing just ahead, revealing the legendary tree demon shepherd Ianpat casually playing his flute atop a massive boulder. This mysterious old man playing the flute turns out to be the legendary guardian of this forest, who once maintained perfect peace between the local tree demons and visiting humans, until a sinister dark elf corruption suddenly infected the woods and ruined everything, driving the monsters mad and forcing the Empire's council to recruit brave adventurers for a purge, prompting the old shepherd to warn the party to turn back before the moonlight buffs the monsters. But Nian steps forward respectfully, declaring they are here to end this corruption once and for all, which causes the old man to rage about the underground beasts who stole his precious magical flute, leaving the girls completely stunned as they realize Nian just casually triggered a legendary hidden quest line, while Tong Yao watches in absolute disbelief, wondering when his friend became such a gaming god. Knowing this quest is the only way to defeat the dungeon boss, our boy accepts the mission. This old shepherd grabs Nian's shoulder, praising him for spotting the thieves who ruined the forest, and hands over 3 pouches of magical dust designed to reveal any hidden creatures nearby, prompting our boy to rally the squad as they prepare to descend into the canyon, grabbing the thick rope with a firm grip to lead the way down the steep cliffside, sliding down the rocky wall with effortless grace while the others cautiously follow his lead. Once on the ground, Yulan skeptically asks if he can actually track down their stealthy targets, as they navigate a narrow stone bridge under the eerie glow of the full moon. Suddenly halting the group, Nian confidently declares they will corner the thieves right here, leaving the pink-haired mage bewildered until he reveals the targets have been stalking them all along, sending a shiver down her spine as she whips her head around in absolute panic. Looking up with a confident grin, Nian whispers that their stealthy stalkers have finally arrived, explaining that these cowardly dark elves will bolt the second they realize they've been spotted, as a pair of shadowy purple mist-covered feet quietly creep along the rocky canyon floor, unaware that the entire party is walking straight into a perfectly coordinated trap. With a sudden flick of his wrist, Nian hurls the magical revealing dust, sending a shimmering wave of light across the canyon walls to expose their hidden stalkers, revealing 2 hideous purple-skinned dark elf thieves who look absolutely horrified to lose their stealth. And realizing their cover is blown, the cowardly creatures instantly turn to run for their lives. Unfortunately for them, Tang Yao and the main tank are already blocking the exit with smug grins, prompting the cornered elf to lunge forward with a desperate roar, claws bared for a fight. Tang Yao immediately begins channeling a spell, while the cornered dark elf desperately lunges forward, summoning a blazing sphere of fire between his hands to incinerate the incoming threat, which instantly engulfs the screaming dark elf in a massive roaring pillar of flames, prompting Yulan and the main tank to charge in to finish off the remaining targets, as the rest of the squad coordinates their attacks to keep the thieves completely pinned down. But the second dark elf suddenly breaks free, lunging straight at Nian with a vicious swipe, only for our boy to effortlessly sidestep the attack, his own dagger already drawn and waiting, delivering a devastating critical strike right to the creature's back that completely drains its health bar, allowing the rest of the party to easily clean up the remaining dark elf thief, leaving Nian standing over the glowing loot, having finally secured the shepherd's stolen magical flute. Holding the glowing flute, Nian smiles as he reads its ridiculously overpowered debuff stats. But Yao Yao suddenly calls out to him, having spotted another hidden item nearby, handing over a mysterious letter she just recovered from the fallen dark elf's body, which triggers a brand new side quest to warn a distant warlord about an incoming invasion. Our boy calmly explains they will cash in this bonus quest once the main dungeon is cleared, leaving the rest of the squad grinning like kids on Christmas over the extra rewards, before Nian tosses the magical flute to their main tank to boost his survivability, prompting the hyped-up group to eagerly follow their leader deeper into the dark canyon. Watching the squad's instant attitude shift, Tang Yao can't help but smirk at his friend's absolute genius, as Nian silently leads them forward, ready to conquer whatever the dungeon throws next. A massive shockwave suddenly erupts through the forest canopy, signaling a chaotic battle nearby, where the party is currently locked in a fierce struggle against another elite tree demon, sending the wooden monstrosity crashing down into a cloud of splinters and dust. This shiny new bronze shield drops from the wreckage, leaving their main tank completely starstruck. Yulan politely asks Nian if she can purchase the overpowered shield from him, But our boy casually lets her have it, only caring about his specific thief loot, prompting Yao Yao to thank him for being so incredibly generous to their ragtag group until the ground violently ruptures as a colossal wooden root bursts through the stone floor, triggering a massive shockwave that threatens to blow the entire squad away in an instant. Instantly springing into action, Ni Yan draws his blade and orders the tanks to prepare for battle. A colossal wooden monstrosity rises from the earth, revealing itself as the level 4 lord, the Dryad King. This ancient boss lets out a deafening roar, furious that mere humans dared to trespass in his domain, and with a massive swing of his wooden arm, he tries to smash our boy into a pancake. Fortunately, our agile thief remains completely unfazed, tracking the incoming strike with razor-sharp focus, effortlessly flipping through the air to dodge the crushing blow by a mere fraction of an inch, leaving Yulan and the rest of the squad completely dumbfounded by his impossible level 2 mechanics. Quickly landing on his feet, Ni Yan barks out precise tactical orders to coordinate their defense, prompting Boiled Water to charge forward and absorb a heavy blow that barely scratches his massive shield. But seeing the boss's absurdly high defense, our boy immediately calls for the heavy artillery, unleashing a devastating barrage of elemental magic from the backline to melt the giant monster's health bar. A colorful barrage of elemental spells rains down on the colossal boss from all directions, triggering a series of massive explosions that slowly chip away at his monstrous health bar. But the angry giant immediately retaliates, slamming Boiled Water with a devastating counterattack, prompting the heavy tank to quickly pull out the magical flute and blow a desperate tune, which instantly unleashes a glowing green melody that slaps the boss with a massive stat debuff. Seizing the opening, Ni Yan barks out orders for the mages to focus strictly on fire magic, a command Tong Yao gladly accepts as he conjures a swirling vortex of flames around his hands, while our boy quickly turns to their priest to confirm she has her cleansing skills ready, explaining that the boss is preparing a crowd control spell that could easily wipe their main tank, before calmly telling her to relax and wait for his exact signal to cast the dispel. This Dryad King unleashes a terrifying green aura of fear directly onto Boiled Water, leaving the main tank completely paralyzed as Ni Yan screams for an immediate cleanse. Promptly raising her glowing staff, the priestess channels a powerful purification spell, which instantly washes over Boiled Water and completely shatters the boss's crowd control effect, letting out a sigh of relief as she realizes her timing was absolutely perfect. With their tank freed, the party unleashes a relentless barrage of physical and magical attacks, chipping the Treant King's massive health bar down below 30% in record time. But the furious boss suddenly turns pitch black as it enters its deadly enrage phase, catching Yulan completely off guard as she braces for an incoming wipe. Instantly reacting, Ni Yan commands Boiled Water to switch to his ultimate defensive stance. Following Ni Yan's urgent command, the backline priests immediately start chugging their mana potions and waste absolutely no time spamming their heals to keep the front line from collapsing, as the enraged boss slams Boiled Water with a brutal blow that nearly shatters his shield, leaving the sweating tank gritting his teeth as his health bar takes a massive nosedive. But the clutch healing wave arrives just in time to patch up his broken armor, allowing him to barely withstand another devastating shockwave from the towering wooden titan. Realizing he only survived that insane burst thanks to the debuff flute and clutch heals, this tank quickly downs an instant health potion, finally understanding Ni Yan's brilliant preparation. But the relentless Dryad King is already winding up for an even deadlier attack, spinning his massive wooden arm like a drill to completely crush the desperate party. Seeing the boss's health bar finally hit rock bottom, Ni Yan commands everyone to focus their fire, prompting the frontline fighters to unleash their ultimate physical skills directly into the monster's wooden chest, carving deep glowing gashes into the giant's bark as the rest of the squad unloads, while our boy swoops in from above to deliver the final decisive blow, driving his blade straight through the creature's glowing weak spot with pinpoint precision, triggering a massive critical hit that completely shatters the boss's remaining health pool, sending the colossal wooden king into a final agonizing death rattle as his body begins to crumble. With a spectacular green explosion, the terrifying forest guardian is reduced to mere firewood, leaving the exhausted party standing in absolute silence as the dust finally settles around them, before they erupt into cheers, completely stunned that their ragtag group actually survived an expert-level dungeon run. Boiled Water and the priestess can't stop praising Ni Yan's flawless shot-calling for saving their skins, while the rest of the squad erupts in golden light as they simultaneously level up. Walking toward the crumbling boss, Ni Yan finally spots the exact item he came here for, snatching up the legendary Featherfall jewel that makes all this grueling effort completely worth it, a dark gold tier accessory that grants him the ability to fall as light as a feather. Suddenly, a massive pillar of golden light engulfs our boy as he hits level 3, securing a massive chunk of Team Glory points for completing the expert-grade dungeon run, leaving the tank absolutely ecstatic over a score boost he's never seen in his life. Generously letting the squad split the rest of the loot, Ni Yan plans their next move, prompting the blonde leader to thank him for single-handedly carrying them to absolute greatness. Stepping through the Carol City teleportation point, a bright blue flash signals the party's return, which immediately catches the attention of a bitter rival lurking in the shadows nearby, who can only watch in absolute disbelief as the entire squad celebrates their massive level-ups. swearing a silent, incredibly dramatic oath of vengeance against Nian for his past humiliation. Meanwhile, our boy heads straight to the Carol City barracks to cash in his side quest, where he is greeted by the imposing warlord Cavaro, who demands to know his business. Nian calmly presents the recovered dark elf letter, explaining the threat to the Hilton fortress, leaving the hardened commander completely stunned by the sudden and crucial military intelligence. Grateful for the warning, the warlord showers him with massive respect points, experience, and a rare skill book, allowing our boy to walk away with a massive haul that exceeded all his expectations. With the quest officially turned in, Yulan asks Nian about his next move, and our boy casually replies that he plans to grind elite monsters using his new jewel, prompting the pink-haired leader to wave goodbye, promising to mail him his share of the gold. While Tang Yao immediately clings to his arm, begging for a masterclass on playing an arcane mage, leading the duo straight to a nearby blacksmith shop to upgrade their gear for the journey. Equipping a full set of bronze-tier gear, Nian enjoys a massive boost to his stats, before directing his eager friend toward the Rhine Hills for some serious high-stakes training. Arriving at the gloomy, lightning-scared peaks, the atmosphere turns incredibly tense as dark clouds gather overhead, where Nian challenges his buddy to farm bat teeth inside the monster-infested caves, prompting the hyped-up mage to dive headfirst into the dark abyss to prove his worth. A screeching, red-winged bat lunges straight out of the darkness with its fangs bared, only to get instantly blasted by a massive wave of scorching fire magic, leaving Tang Yao grinning like a maniac as he proudly claims his first kill. Not wanting to be outdone, Nian decides it is time to start hunting, unleashing a blinding blue slash that tears through the dark cavern corridors as he effortlessly slices through a whole swarm of bats with terrifying speed. After pocketing his loot, our boy wonders how his buddy is holding up, but a sudden panic call reveals Tang Yao is being cornered by Pekiers, specifically red name killers who apparently belong to the hostile Radiant Sacred Flame Guild, prompting Nian to immediately sprint off to rescue his friend from the ambush. Over the voice chat, Tang Yao explains he accidentally stumbled into a level 3 leader before getting ambushed. Grinning at the challenge, Nian tells his buddy to keep leading the Peekers in circles, before suddenly halting his sprint as he approaches the entrance of the dark cavern. Spotting a group of hostile guards blocking the path, our boy carefully assesses the situation. Their leader, a level 3 elemental mage named Dion Kang, arrogantly dismisses Tang Yao as a broke loser, but Nian only sees a walking treasure chest wearing a rare fire mage armor set, prompting our boy to activate his stealth skill and blend seamlessly into the shadows, silently creeping up behind the unsuspecting guards without making even a single sound. Suddenly, Dian Kang freezes as a cold shiver runs straight down his spine, as Nian strikes from the darkness, unleashing a blinding flurry of wind and steel. Dian Kang leaps backward to create some distance, realizing he just got ambushed by a thief, but the arrogant mage quickly retaliates by unleashing a massive ring of violent fire magics, sensing a scorching shockwave outward to force our boy back while his guards scream for blood. Refusing to let his target escape, Nian pops a speed scroll to close the distance, and with a swift strike, he sends the arrogant mage crashing down into the dirt. This defeated mage's glowing staff clatters onto the ground, sparkling with valuable loot drops. Turns out Dian Kang dropped his entire bronze-tier flame chaser set, making this a massive jackpot, which is perfect for Tang Yao since his buddy also specializes in high-damage fire magic. So our boy immediately pings his friend to get his exact coordinates for a rescue, casually sending over pictures of the newly acquired gear to motivate him to stay alive. Staring at his screen in absolute shock, Tang Yao can't believe his eyes. He instantly gets star eyes, wondering if he's dreaming about this legendary jackpot, laughing like a maniac because dying today would now be totally worth it. Meanwhile, Nian stands alone on a windy cliff overlooking the dark forest, calmly planning to hunt down a few more of those arrogant guild members. Birds scatter across the stormy sky as the tension in the woods reaches a boiling point, where a search party suddenly receives the shocking system alert of their leader's death. This guards panic, knowing their boss was easily one of the top mages around, realizing his entire high-tier gear set must have dropped to the mysterious attacker, only to freeze in pure disbelief upon learning the culprit was a single thief. This guards sweat bullets as they confirm their entire vanguard got wiped by a single thief, leaving the rest of the search party clutching their heads in absolute panic disbelief, especially when they confirm the culprit is none other than the legendary Nirvana Flame. Unaware that our boy is literally chilling behind a nearby tree, listening to their conversation, Nian smirks at his new 5 silver bounty, completely unfazed by their massive guild threat. With a cold chuckle, he activates his stealth skill to stalk his clueless pursuers. But a sudden rustling in the bushes abruptly cuts their search party short, as a massive level 5 antler deer leader suddenly charges out of the thick foliage. Deciding to pivot to some easy monster farming, the guards prepare to fight the beast, giving Nian the absolute perfect opportunity to strike them while they are distracted. This greedy guild members immediately charge the beast, dreaming of splitting some easy, valuable loot, leading with their heavily armored tank who rushes forward with a confident battle cry as he slams his massive shield directly into the raging deer's glowing face. Right on cue, their physical damage dealers leap in to carve up the beast's flank, sending damage numbers flying as the giant monster roars in absolute agony, while their backline mages smugly boast that they only need 30 seconds to finish it. Unfortunately for them, Nian is already looming directly behind their completely exposed backline, and with a sudden brutal strike, strike, he launches the white-robed priest straight into the air, before instantly spinning around to drive his blade deep into the dark-robed mage's chest, unleashing a blinding flurry of slashes that leaves the panicked survivors screaming about an ambush. This panicked mage desperately tries to chug a health potion to save himself, but Nian instantly shatters the glass bottle with a swift, merciless strike, sending the helpless spellcaster straight to the graveyard before he can even take a sip. With the first target down, our boy immediately pivots toward his next victim, leaving the remaining priest clutching his head in absolute dizzying confusion as his allies vanish, only for Nian to materialize behind him and unleash a flurry of vicious slashes, catching the helpless healer completely off guard as his health bar begins to rapidly plummet. Desperate to survive, the priest unleashes a Holy Judgment spell that actually lands a solid counter hit. Meanwhile, the frontline tank is still busy blocking the giant deer, wondering why his backline went sus-site, until he spots the distant holy light and realizes they are being hunted by the thief. Realizing they are trapped between a raging boss and a deadly assassin, the vanguard panics, but their tank desperately orders them to focus down the deer first before dealing with the thief, bracing himself as the massive antler deer leader slams its heavy skull directly into his shield. Seizing the opening, their swordsman unleashes a linear slash to chip away at the beast's health, causing the giant monster to roar in absolute agony as blood splatters across the dark forest. With a final heavy blow, the giant deer collapses into the dirt, defeated at last. But Nian is already standing over the fallen backline, leaving the survivors completely out of time. This remaining 3 melee fighters turn around, their health bars dangerously low from the chaotic skirmish, prompting our boy to play it safe rather than blindly rushing 3 coordinated melee players. While the panicked tank quickly calls for guild backup, hoping to survive until reinforcements arrive, Nian casually calls out their cowardice, mocking them for refusing to fight a 3-on-1 battle, prompting the defensive tank to snap back, claiming they won't fall for his classic divide-and-conquer tactics. But our boy instantly catches the sound of distant rustling, realizing their reinforcements are already closing in, leaving him with a smug grin as he waves a cheerful goodbye to his frustrated opponents, before instantly vanishing into thin air, leaving the panicked vanguard screaming for someone to stop him. Right on cue, the hostile guild's reinforcements finally burst through the dense tree line with weapons drawn, only to find their vanguard standing completely alone, forced to admit the thief already slipped away. Furious at the massive slip-up, the newly arrived squad leader immediately orders a full-scale manhunt, sending his scouts fanning out across the dark forest to search every single bush for their target, completely unaware that Nian is already standing high on a cliff, enveloped in a dark stealth aura. Smirking to himself, Nian knows this terrain too well for anyone to ever catch him. Meanwhile, Tang Yao is shivering inside a dark cave surrounded by level 5 rock spiders, only for our boy to suddenly materialize right behind him using his stealth skill, before casually tossing over the glowing flame chaser set he just looted from the dead mage. Clutching the rare gear, the ecstatic mage looks like he just won the lottery. And after equipping the set, his magic damage instantly skyrockets to a whopping 50 points. With their damage now boosted, Nian leads his buddy deeper into the dark cavern, explaining that they need to clear out the local rock spiders to claim a silver-grade chest, prompting our boy to pull out his trusty hand crossbow with absolute deadly focus, sending a volley of sharp bolts directly into the crawling monsters to initiate the fight. Tang Yao immediately begins casting, channeling his newly boosted magic into a massive arcane flame spell, sending a towering pillar of roaring fire crashing straight down into the dark cavern depths, which absolutely obliterates a rock spider, dealing a massive chunk of damage with ease. This ecstatic mage can barely believe his eyes, realizing the Flame Chaser set is pure cheat code material, while Nian casually drops from above, driving his dagger deep into another spider's skull, prompting Tang Yao to quickly prep his next spell to back up his deadly friend, marveling at how easily they are shredding through monsters 2 levels higher than them. Our boy doesn't let him slack off though, urging him to keep moving deeper, as they continue to blitz through the cavern, leaving a trail of smoking spider corpses, until they finally spot the glowing silver-grade chest sitting peacefully in the center of the chamber. Tang Yao instantly panics, realizing neither of them actually has the lock-picking skill to open it, but Nian calmly tells him to relax, explaining the game always provides a workaround, specifically a hidden key that usually drops from whatever terrifying monster is guarding the loot, which is exactly when a massive level 5 rock spider boss crashes down from the ceiling. Staring at the giant arachnid, the terrified mage immediately loses his mind and starts screaming, while our boy just smirks, casually telling his buddy it's time to farm some boss loot, instructing Tang Yao to keep his distance while he lures the beast into a narrow corridor, prompting the mage to turn tail and run as the giant spider aggressively pursues him, before suddenly spinning around to channel a massive arcane fireball directly at his multi-legged stalker. This explosive spell hits dead on, engulfing the boss in a violent storm of roaring flames. Smirking at the boss's elemental weakness, Nian realizes fire magic is their golden ticket, so he leaps into action to handle crowd control while his buddy preps the heavy artillery, landing a precise strike that instantly stuns the giant beast and leaves it completely vulnerable. giving Tong Yao the perfect window to unleash his newly boosted fire spells on the target. A massive fireball erupts from the mage's hands, engulfing the giant arachnid in a blazing explosion. But the angry monster quickly shakes off the stun, entering a dangerous red-eyed berserk state as it violently slams the cavern floor to summon a wave of deadly earth spikes. Barely dodging the impact, Nian quickly patches himself up while warning his buddy to retreat, which sends a sudden jolt of panic straight through the clueless mage's system, since a sharp spike erupts from the ground right where he was standing a second ago. Nian shouts for his buddy to focus on damage while he draws the boss's aggro, prompting the exhausted mage to quickly chug a mana potion to get back in the fight, before unleashing another massive arcane fireball with his fully restored magic reserves, sending a massive explosion of roaring flames crashing directly into the giant arachnid's face, allowing our boy to dive from above with a perfectly timed vital strike, driving his sharp dagger deep into the monster's skull to finish it off. Staring at the smoking remains, the trembling mage can barely believe they actually survived, collapsing to the cold cavern floor in absolute exhaustion while celebrating his own genius. While Nian calmly loots the fallen boss, surrounded by a glowing aura of victory, revealing two incredibly rare high-tier skill books alongside the coveted silver key they needed. Nian presents the newly looted Skyfall book, explaining it as an absolute god-tier AoE grinding tool, while casually mentioning it still cannot compete with legendary classes like Holy or Draconic magic, leaving the clueless mage scratching his head over these mysterious high-tier magic classes. But our boy quickly changes the subject, rushing back toward the glowing silver chest, sliding the newly acquired silver key directly into the lock with a satisfying click. This duo watches in anticipation as the chest begins to slowly creak open, releasing a brilliant golden glow that reveals a highly coveted, game-changing accessory inside, specifically the Web Weaver's Ring, an incredible tool designed for scaling walls and cliffs. This level 0 bronze item allows the user to shoot durable spider silk to swing around like a superhero, making it a literal cheat code for a high-mobility thief class like Nian. Nian asks his buddy if he has already learned the newly acquired Skyfall skill, and with a massive horde of rock spiders crawling their way, it is showtime. Our boy charges forward to draw their aggro while the mage prepares his spell, weaving through the cavern to gather the entire multi-legged swarm into one tight group, leaving Tong Yao sweating bullets as he struggles with the skill's incredibly long casting time. Suddenly, a massive sphere of roaring fire erupts above the mage's head as he unleashes Skyfall, sending a devastating rain of meteors crashing down to vaporize the entire spider army, allowing Nian to easily clean up the few stragglers with some quick, stylish slashes. Staring at the smoking crater, the stunned mage can barely believe his own destructive power, but our boy just slaps his shoulder, casually urging him to keep moving deeper inside. Tang sheepishly admits he has completely drained his mana pool and exhausted his recovery potions, prompting Nian to recall that the ultimate game-changing item lies hidden deep within this very cave, so the spent mage suggests heading back to a safe zone to avoid becoming dead weight, leading them out of the dark cavern and into the pouring rain to regroup, where Tong Yao happily activates a town portal scroll to teleport back to safety, leaving our boy to send him off with a warm, supportive smile of true brotherhood. Once the bright teleportation light fades and his friend is safely back in the city, Nian immediately turns back toward the dark cavern to hunt for his real prize, specifically a legendary page of the Chapter of Order that holds absolute godlike power, which can eventually elevate its owner to become the supreme leader of the entire continent. While the Chapter of Chaos represents light, the legendary Chapter of Chaos grants its owner absolute dark power, and our boy Nian knows that securing these fragments is his ticket to absolute godhood, especially since the game's first expansion pack holds the legendary 6 volumes of the Chapter of Order. Recalling his past life, Nian remembers the legendary players who rode these chapters straight to the top, like the winged demon hunter Soaring Angel, who single-handedly slaughtered an entire 100-man elite guild, or the terrifying arcane mage who purified hundreds of high-level necromancers with a single forbidden spell. Even the mad swordsman Sleepy Fox became an immortal legend by slicing through 400 enemies alone, which is why our boy is currently diving headfirst into the dark abyss with absolute excitement, landing softly near an underground stream only to find 3 massive rock spiders blocking his path, prompting Nian to instantly activate his stealth skill to slip past these level 5 elite monsters. Nian activates his water-repelling pearl, parting the deep underground stream with absolute ease. Diving deep into the submerged cavern, he recalls a legendary hidden chest from his past life, and his eyes light up as he spots a glowing gold-grade chest resting on the seabed. Recognizing the rare pirate emblem on the lid, our boy immediately begins cracking the lock, which pops open to reveal a legendary unidentified dagger floating in a soft red aura, leaving Nian absolutely thrilled with this gold-grade weapon before he even finds his main target. Swimming upward toward a bright opening, he follows the underwater current to find an exit, suddenly bursting through the surface of a crystal-clear pool hidden deep inside the cavern system, stepping onto the damp, mossy ground as water drips from his high-tier thief gear, only to find himself staring in awe at a breathtaking sunlit forest hidden deep underground. Walking deeper into this hidden oasis, Nian spots a mysterious stone pedestal waiting ahead, and as he approaches, a thick, dark book floats up surrounded by ominous dark energy, revealing ancient silver-engraved text that instantly begins etching itself directly into his mind, granting him mastery over 3 ancient languages alongside a legendary chronicle index. Examining the legendary chapter of Courage, he realizes it grants insane stat boosts and god-tier skills, recalling how Sleepy Fox used these exact broken abilities to slaughter hundreds of players, though he must stay sharp since dying means losing this precious item forever. But his celebration is cut short as he wonders why no terrifying boss has spawned, until a sudden violent tremor causes massive boulders to crash down and block his exit. Realizing the pool is completely sealed, Nian braces himself for the Guardian's imminent arrival. Realizing he is in deep trouble, Nian desperately leaps down the steep cliffside, but luckily he has his newly acquired silk spinner's ring ready to go, shooting a strong line of sticky spider silk directly onto the rocky wall, allowing him to swing gracefully and land safely on a lower ledge, only for a massive explosion to shatter the ground right behind him, revealing a terrifying winged fire demon that serves as the legendary guardian. Our boy quickly activates Transcendent Insight to analyze this monstrous flying threat, and his jaw drops seeing a level 100 boss with massive health, which immediately rains down a devastating barrage of giant roaring fireballs from above, forcing Nian to dodge frantically since a single hit means instant death. Meanwhile, back in Linktown, the local players suddenly notice the sky turning pitch black, as a massive system announcement warns everyone that a legendary draconic beast has arrived, prompting the heavily armored Holy Crusaders to immediately mobilize their elite forces for battle. Watching the high-level NPCs gather, the local players can only wonder what triggered this madness, completely unaware that Nian is currently running for his life from that exact monster, who quickly pops a speed scroll to boost his movement by 20% through the woods, barely staying ahead of the devastating fireballs that are vaporizing the forest behind him, though the intense heat still chips away at his health with constant burn damage. Desperate to escape, our boy shoots another line of sticky spider silk toward a sturdy tree, swinging himself through the canopy to put some much-needed distance between him and the demon. This massive beast charges up a colossal fireball, aiming to vaporize our boy in a single blast. But a sudden magical arrow strikes its face as the town's elite NPCs finally join the fray, sending the furious monster into an absolute rage as it lets out a deafening, earth-shaking roar, while Warlord Myron rallies his Holy Crusaders to unleash the ultimate judgment upon this foolish invader. Unfortunately, a massive fiery meteor is already hurtling directly toward the town's defensive line, as the winged demon prepares to unleash its most devastating high-tier spell from above, raining down a barrage of apocalyptic fireballs that makes the players question their survival odds, triggering a level 1 emergency alert that sends the terrified crowd running for their lives. Standing his ground, the armored commander quickly orders the activation of their basic protective barrier, enveloping the entire city in a massive magical shield just before the fiery impact. This massive fireballs crash harmlessly against the magical dome, leaving the terrified players sighing in relief. Seizing the moment, the armored commander orders his elite archers to prepare their counterattack, sending a massive storm of sharp silver arrows whistling straight up into the dark sky. This volley swirls into a massive magical vortex that completely envelops the flying beast, prompting the furious demon to retaliate by unleashing a colossal beam of pure destructive energy, screaming a deafening battle cry as it dives straight toward the city walls and slamming its massive fiery claws directly into the magical barrier to shatter it. While the barrier shatters into glittering dust, some opportunistic players watch from the shadows, including the loyal leader of the Radiant Shrine Guild, whom Nian remembers from his past life. Standing alongside the notorious leader of the Dark Massacre Guild, a total ruffian looking to steal the boss loot, Nian spots the legendary warrior Half-Awake Fox standing proudly with his massive broadsword. This white-robed leader of Radiant Shrine smugly tells his rivals to step aside, but the dark-clad leader of Dark Massacre immediately fires back with some petty guild stats. Watching the rival guilds bicker like children, our boy focuses on the flying fire demon. Suddenly, massive ice spikes rain down from the sky to freeze the battlefield, slamming directly into the winged fire demon to disrupt its devastating aerial assault. Warlord Myron charges up a massive lightning-infused spear to deliver the final blow, launching the glowing projectile straight through the air with absolute bone-shattering force, which pierces the legendary beast's chest for a massive chunk of damage, completely draining its health bar and sending the greedy players rushing for the loot. This rival guild leaders lock eyes, each waiting for the perfect moment to snatch the boss's legendary loot, and suddenly a greedy player leaps forward to claim the prize before anyone else can react, prompting Nian to instantly slip into stealth mode, blending seamlessly into the chaotic battlefield. A red-haired warrior desperately reaches his hand out, fully convinced he is about to strike gold, only to get blasted backward by a stray magical explosion that completely ruins his big moment. Screaming orders to his guildmates, the blonde leader Half-Awake Fox commands everyone to block the path, charging ahead himself as he leaps right over the charred remains of the failed looters, stretching his hand toward the glowing chest with absolute confidence that the prize is finally his, until dark magical tendrils suddenly wrap around his limbs, completely freezing him in his tracks. Meanwhile, our boy casually swipes the legendary loot right from under their noses while they remain completely immobilized. This dark-clothed leader of Dark Massacre lunges forward, desperate to snatch the glowing loot first. Seeing the chaotic scramble, Nian realizes he cannot safely grab the rest of the gear, so he lets his rivals take the heat as the dark-clothed leader gets peppered with arrows, allowing the white-robed leader of Radiant Shrine to sweep in and claim the prize instead, who smugly thanks our boy for the assist while holding the newly acquired treasure aloft, prompting Nian to casually turn around and walk away empty-handed without causing a scene. However, the furious leader of Dark Massacre is not about to let him leave so easily, ordering his heavily armed guild members to draw their weapons and surround our boy instantly. But Nian merely glances back with a cold, unimpressed stare that promises absolute violence. Suddenly, the white-robed leader steps in to defend him, warning the rivals to back off. This Radiant Shrine Guild steps up, declaring they aren't intimidated by their rivals' threats, prompting the dark-clothed leader to grin maliciously, promising that nobody is leaving this place alive, while the blonde leader half-awake Fox chuckles, feeling like his work here is already done. But his armored subordinate quickly points out that Nian is the legendary expert Nirvana Flame, sparking the blonde leader's interest as he watches our boy casually stroll away from the chaos. And when his subordinate asks for their next move, a calculating look crosses his face, calling out to invite Nian on an upcoming raid to the high-level mud swamp, leaving the rival guild leaders completely stunned by this sudden high-profile recruitment attempt, as Nian recognizes the subordinate as a legendary player from the Holy Roman Empire. Our boy agrees to the deal, but only if he gets first pick of all thief loot. This surrounding crowd immediately starts whispering, completely baffled by Nian's absolute audacity. Even Sleepy Fox's own subordinate grumbles, calling our boy way too arrogant for setting conditions. But the blonde guild leader just smiles, admiring a player with the guts to back it up, readily agreeing to the terms and granting Nian first pick of all the thief loot. This shocking compromise leaves the entire plaza in absolute disbelief, wondering who this mysterious kid is, while the Dark Massacre leader's subordinate warns him that fighting two massive guilds at once is suicide, prompting Sleepy Fox to casually step in and suggest they all call it a day, forcing the frustrated rival leader to swallow his pride and back down from the fight, ordering his men to retreat as they bitterly march away from the town square. With the danger gone, the blue-haired mage thanks Nian for helping him secure the rare loot. Sleepy Fox casually asks Radiant Star if he scored any decent loot from the boss, only to reveal a gold-grade chestplate that requires a whopping level 100 to equip, meaning this incredibly rare trophy will basically just gather dust in their guild treasury forever. While the blue-haired mage eagerly thanks Nian, thrilled to finally run a dungeon together, both guild leaders quickly send over friend requests, eager to secure our boy's elite services, leaving Nian highly amused by how easily he just befriended his past life rivals, before he casually waves goodbye and slips away into the shadows of the town. Finding a quiet spot, our boy finally pulls out his newly acquired, unappraised dagger, activating Transcendent Insight to reveal a god-tier gold weapon with insane early-game stat boosts, which will absolutely skyrocket his damage output the second he unlocks dual-wielding at level 5. Arriving at Telic Town, Twist prepares to make the most of his remaining game time, so he steps onto the glowing teleportation pad to quickly wrap up Dr. Blevins' quest, only to materialize in the smoldering, completely ruined remains of the merfolk village. It looks like the victorious Return Guild swept through here like a devastating hurricane, but our boy spots a few lingering solo players who might have the silk he needs, deciding that buying the materials directly is way faster than farming them himself. Next, he teleports straight to the scenic shores of the heart of the Lake Island, where he finds the old doctor fishing as if he didn't send a kid into danger, handing over the 90 pieces of fine silk to finally complete the tedious gathering quest, which sends the old man into a joyful frenzy about returning to his stronghold tomorrow. This old doctor showers Nian with blessings, boosting our boy's reputation with the local stronghold, along with a massive chunk of experience points that pushes him to the brink of leveling up, followed by a pair of gold-grade boots that will make him virtually untouchable in battle. Right on cue, a system alert warns that the server is shutting down in 60 seconds, leaving our boy sitting at 98% experience with absolutely no time left to level up today. Accepting his fate, Nian initiates the logout sequence right there on the scenic lakeshore, as his digital avatar glitches out and dissolves into a stream of glowing blue pixels, pulling off his VR helmet to find himself back in his quiet real-world bedroom. Realizing physical fitness is just as crucial as digital power, he immediately drops to the floor, knocking out intense sit-ups to ensure his real body stays just as lethal as his in-game thief. Pushing his physical limits, Nian transitions into intense handstand push-ups to build his real-world strength, before pumping iron and deciding he needs a proper dojo to accurately test his current power, which leads him straight to the front doors of the prestigious Lin Family Martial Arts Dojo, where he casually purchases a 2-hour pass, completely unaware of the judgmental eyes watching him, as his former classmate Lin Jia immediately starts lecturing him about some ancient, irrelevant love letter, gossiping to herself about his family's massive debt while our boy simply seal away without a word. Soon, a muscular blonde guy approaches her, asking about the quiet kid who just walked past, prompting the arrogant girl to eagerly trash-talk Nian's financial status to stroke her new boyfriend's ego. Meanwhile, Nian approaches a massive pull-force testing machine to measure his raw physical output, putting his entire weight into a devastating pull that threatens to shatter the machine's calibration entirely. This screen flashes a solid 162 kilograms on his very first attempt, which Nian notes is still far below his past life peak but decent for his current body, before he casually strolls over to the high-tech weight-bearing machine to push his limits even further. Our boy easily shoulders a massive 155 kilograms, barely breaking a sweat, while his arrogant classmate's new boyfriend spots him from across the gym and asks about him, prompting Lin Jia to dismissively call him a skinny monkey who isn't even worth watching. Just as Nian unleashes a devastating, explosive punch straight into the heavy testing machine, completely shattering the equipment and sending shockwaves through the entire room, leaving everyone frozen in silence. This muscle-bound boyfriend stares in absolute horror, his jaw dropping at the display of raw power, leaving Lin Jia utterly frozen as she realizes her skinny monkey classmate is actually a total monster. As the shattered testing machine sparks, Nian casually steps back from his devastating display of power, walking straight to the front desk to check out while the receptionist stares in absolute awe. She eagerly waives his fee and hands over a massive cash bonus for shattering their record, which our boy happily accepts, thrilled to secure some easy real-world funds without any extra effort. Sensing an opportunity, the gorgeous receptionist immediately shoots her shot and invites him out for drinks. But Nian delivers a cold, instant rejection that completely crushes her hopes on the spot. Leaving her calling out in utter disbelief, he casually strolls out the door without looking back, prompting her to instantly turn sour and bitterly complain about his supposed lack of wealth. Meanwhile, Nian uses his new cash to stock up on premium nutrient solutions at the mall, heading straight back to his apartment under the night sky to prepare for another intense gaming session. Holding his sleek VR helmet, Nian prepares to dive back into the virtual world, and he instantly materializes back in the game, ready to tackle his next big objective, which involves hitting level 4 before hunting down the elite monster known as Lion King Kato. Our boy easily slices through a swarm of water spiders, successfully reaching his target level. But before confronting the elite beast, he decides to make some crucial preparations first, pulling out a return scroll to instantly teleport himself back to the bustling Kalor city, where he heads straight toward the local auction house to stock up on essential supplies, remembering that the highly anticipated SOS Valley dungeon is about to open for major guilds, meaning the price of poison-curing black phenol potions is about to skyrocket overnight. Seizing the opportunity, Nian immediately buys out every single potion and recipe the merchant has. This merchant stares in absolute shock, completely baffled by this massive, high-stakes bulk purchase, leaving our boy to walk away with a smug grin, knowing he just secured a massive future fortune, before he steps onto the glowing teleportation pad to warp straight over to Moto Town, materializing in the bustling square as he prepares to hunt down his next elite target, rushing out of the city gates like a blur to reach the wild hunting grounds, landing gracefully on the grassy hills of the Crimson Dream region with perfect thief agility, where he peers down from a massive cliffside to locate the legendary beast's lair, spotting the level 7 Lion King Kato roaring below with a massive 6,000 health pool, which would normally be suicide to fight head-on. But our boy has a brilliant plan, activating his Featherfall jewel to dive off the cliff, floating down as light as a feather. To pull off this insane stunt, Nian relies on his newly equipped Silk Spinner's ring, aiming a heavy crossbow loaded with highly toxic poisoned arrows directly at the beast below. But it turns out another party is already down there grinding the local lion population, led by a level 6 shield warrior named Dao Guang who laments their terrible loot luck, prompting his elemental mage teammate Heizu to remind him of the ridiculously low drop rates, though the stubborn shield warrior insists their previous rare shield drop proves they have a chance, dreaming of becoming completely invincible if they can just secure that final piece of armor. Meanwhile, the mage secretly fumes at his leader's massive ego and annoying bragging rights, until Daoguang suddenly looks up in absolute shock, spotting a shadow descending from the sky, as Nian swings gracefully from a web line, locking his sights onto the elite boss. 3 deadly bolts slice through the air with terrifying speed, aiming straight for the target below, striking the massive white lion and instantly triggering a nasty poison effect that slowly drains its health, leaving the nearby grinding party absolutely speechless as they watch this insane cheese tactic unfold, while their mage quickly deduces that the kid must be using multiple high-tier items to pull this off, marveling at the sheer genius of a strategy that lets a player farm levels without taking a single scratch. But their excitement turns to pure greed when they realize the kid is soloing an elite boss, until a massive dust cloud erupts in the distance, signaling the arrival of the entire angry pride, forcing the greedy players to immediately abandon their plans and run for their lives as lions swarm the area. Meanwhile, Nian remains completely safe high up on the cliffside, watching the poison boss helplessly leap toward him, smugly reloading his crossbow to finish off the beast and claim a massive mountain of experience points. This poisoned beast roars in absolute agony as more toxic arrows pierce its skull. 30 grueling minutes of relentless kiting later, the boss finally enters a desperate berserk state, but Nian merely smiles, calmly aiming his heavy crossbow to deliver the final blow, unleashing a volley of glowing bolts that streak downward with lethal precision, tearing right through the beast's chest to end its reign with a massive splash of blood. Floating down safely with his Featherfall jewel, our boy admires his flawless zero-damage victory, as the massive white lion dissolves into glowing particles and drops some shiny new gear. Activating Transcendent Insight, he reveals a gold-grade shield and a matching gold-grade cloak, which instantly instantly pushes him to level 5, finally unlocking his highly anticipated dual-wielding ability, equipping his god-tier gear to become an absolute speed demon in any low-level zone. Just as Nian celebrates his victory, a massive dust cloud rises as the angry lion pride spots him, prompting our boy to immediately trigger his stealth skill and sprint away at breakneck speed. But another player is also running for his life in the exact same direction, leading to an inevitable mid-sprint collision that neither of them can easily avoid in the tall grass, as they collide with a loud thud, sending both players stumbling backward from the sheer impact. And as Nian recovers, he instantly recognizes the startled shield warrior standing right in front of him, remembering that in his past life, this very kid was one of the top 3 shield warriors on the server. Unfortunately, the Roaring Lion Pride has already closed in, completely surrounding them from all sides, forcing the legendary tank to suggest a temporary alliance to survive this overwhelming beast siege, which Nian accepts just as the warrior charges forward to absorb the incoming damage. Daoguang unleashes a massive Intimidate skill, sending a shockwave that temporarily stuns the nearest lion, shouting for Nian to use a stun skill so they can finally break through, which our boy delivers instantly, dropping from above to stun another beast with perfect precision, while the shield warrior follows up with a heavy hamstring strike to cripple the target. With both of their targets successfully neutralized, the path ahead finally clears up, prompting Nian to urge his new ally to sprint through the gap immediately, as they both dash past the remaining beasts, leaving the angry pride eating their dust. Slipping away into the dense forest, Nian marvels at how easily they synchronize their attacks, before they both slide to a halt in a quiet clearing, finally catching their breath, where Daoguang warmly introduces himself, completely unaware that Nian already knows his legendary future. Nian recalls how Daoguang's best friend and girlfriend betrayed him in his past life, introducing himself as Nirvana Flame while secretly resolving to save this legendary tank from his tragic fate, before casually offering to sell him the newly dropped gold-grade Lion King shield, which leaves the shield completely drooling over its massive stats and high market value, though he admits he is short on cash and offers to trade rare thief gear instead, prompting Nian to agree before casually asking if he knows a player named Heiju, dropping a subtle hint about seeing Heiju cozying up with a woman named Ji Yan, sending Daoguang into instant denial since those two are his most trusted girlfriend and best friend. Our boy calmly tells him to stay alert, offering him a spot if he ever leaves, but the stubborn warrior suspects it is just a cheap trick to recruit him elsewhere. Casually waving goodbye, Nian takes his leave while knowing his warning will eventually ring true, leaving the conflicted shield warrior to wonder if his closest allies are actually plotting behind his back. Meanwhile, our boy dashes through the wilderness like a purple streak of pure, unadulterated speed, hunting for a level 8 sub-elite monster known as the Ogre Devourer to maximize his experience gains, and his sharp eyes lock onto his target, a smug grin spreading across his face. Right on cue, a massive green beast carrying a giant wooden club wanders into the clearing, boasting a massive 6,000 health pool but luckily lacking any annoying minions to back it up. Though the beast looks incredibly clumsy, its massive strides allow it to cover ground surprisingly fast, forcing Nian to stay high up in the branches while keeping watch for its deadly petrifying gaze, before he unleashes a volley of toxic, glowing bolts to slowly whittle down its massive health pool. This toxic arrows hit home, triggering a steady stream of poison damage ticks, and the furious beast immediately locks its glowing red eyes onto our boy, charging forward with a deafening roar while Nian prepares for its deadly gaze. This massive green monster swings its heavy wooden club down with bone-shattering force. Fortunately, Nian leaps back just in time, easily dodging the devastating smash, but the angry beast immediately counters by unleashing its terrifying petrifying gaze, prompting our boy to activate his silk spinner's ring to zip away, landing gracefully on a high branch to line up his next shot. He fires a volley of 3 glowing toxic bolts straight at the target, which pierce the monster's thick hide to keep the poison damage ticking. This furious ogre devourer swings its massive club, unleashing a wave of green energy, which completely obliterates the surrounding trees, turning the dense forest into a chaotic disaster zone. But Nian simply glides through the air, thanking his lucky stars for the silk spinner's ring, as the poison beast's health bar steadily plummets down to a critical 31%. Another desperate swing from the monster misses entirely, while the poison ticks continue to chip away, leaving our boy to calmly aim his crossbow upside down, planning to finish this tedious kiting game, until he suddenly spots a massive problem lurking directly in his path of retreat. 3 normal ogres block his escape route, threatening to completely ruin his perfect solo run. Realizing that getting cornered means instant death, Nian decides to make a highly risky gamble, activating his stealth skill to charge straight at the low-health boss for a final desperate frontal assault. This massive boss leaps into the air, swinging its heavy club down with a furious roar, prompting our boy to instantly activate his trusty Silkweaver's ring to dodge the incoming strike, circling around behind the clumsy beast as its massive weapon completely obliterates the empty dirt path. Drawing his sharp dagger in midair, Nian prepares to deliver a devastating final blow, unleashing a lethal vital strike that slices clean through the monster's defenses with blinding speed, which successfully drains the last of its health and triggers a massive critical damage indicator, sending the giant beast crashing to the ground as a lifeless heap of green flesh. Suddenly, one of the remaining ogres lunges from the shadows to launch a surprise sneak attack, roaring in absolute fury as it swings its heavy club directly at our boy's head, only to widen its glowing red eyes in sheer shock as its target suddenly vanishes. This ogre swings at empty air, completely baffled by our boy's sudden disappearance. Nian appears behind him like a literal sleep paralysis demon, whispering a chilling question, before unleashing a flurry of blinding slashes that tear through the monster's defenses, sending the massive beast crashing face first into the dirt with a final pathetic whimper. With the entire mob successfully cleared out, Nian stands victorious amidst the carnage, admiring his shiny new loot, starting with a god-tier gold-grade crossbow of bloodshed. Along with a rare pre-staff, he plans to flip for a massive fortune, heading straight to the Carroll City auction house to cash in on his hard work. He consigns the high-tier gear while greedily buying up every single black phenol potion available. But his shopping spree is interrupted when he overhears someone selling an incredibly rare skill book. Nian approaches a friendly-looking mage who is eagerly advertising a rare rapid retreat skill book, and our boy immediately notices the guy is wearing some incredibly high-tier Lightwalker robes, not to mention a rare Wind of the Falling Moon staff that screams high-level solo player, prompting Nian to compliment his insane luck for finding such a top-tier escape skill, which the mage proudly boasts only took him 3 hours of grinding to obtain. Our boy's ears perk up at the mention of his grinding spot, the Radiant Canyon, before realizing this unassuming holy mage is actually a legendary player named Divine Retribution of the past, a famous powerhouse from his past life who once waged a massive war against a top guild, though his lack of a proper guild eventually caused his legendary name to fade into obscurity. Seizing the opportunity, Nian buys the book and adds this future legend to his friends list. Divine Retribution of the past happily suggests teaming up for future dungeon runs, which Nian gladly accepts. Looking down at the massive pile of herbs on the table, the mage explains his squad's side hustle, pointing over to the Pharmacist Association where they usually sell their freshly gathered materials for quick cash. But their conversation is cut short by a loud, toxic argument erupting right across the hall, where an aggressive, armored warrior violently backhands a struggling green-haired alchemist onto the wooden floor, screaming in absolute rage about how the poor kid completely wasted the guild's precious crafting resources. Clutching his bruised face, the humiliated alchemist glares back with a look of pure, burning resentment, only to get brutally kicked right in the face for daring to show any attitude, as the bully officially kicks him out of the Dark Ranger Guild, leaving him in the dirt, prompting the Holy Mage to quietly warn Nian against interfering in another guild's messy drama. Nian instantly recognizes the bruised alchemist, realizing fate has just thrown him a massive curveball. In his past life, this exact kid was known as the legendary king of potions. Though they were bitter enemies back then, the guy was simply loyal to those who valued his talent. Since this future legend is currently just a broke apprentice, it is the perfect time to recruit him, especially if Nian wants to build a massive financial empire to support his future guild. Approaching the kneeling alchemist, our boy casually asks for the name of the bully from earlier. This kid mutters that the jerk's name is Razor, highly skeptical of this random stranger's sudden interest, prompting Nian to offer him a golden ticket to make his former guild regret their actions. Looking up with a bruised face, the suspicious alchemist demands to know why he should trust him, but Nian points out that a broke, kicked-out apprentice has absolutely nothing worth stealing anyway. Nian challenges the kid, stating that changing his miserable life depends entirely on his own courage, leaving the stunned alchemist staring blankly as the heavy words slowly sink into his mind. Turning around to walk away, our boy casually drops one final, motivating truth bomb, which strikes a massive chord, forcing the tearful kid to grit his teeth in pure defiance. Strolling through the bustling city streets, Nian remains completely confident that his target will follow, remembering his own powerless past life and resolving to rewrite both of their tragic destinies. Right on cue, the desperate alchemist comes sprinting through the crowd, begging him to wait, anxiously admitting that brewing potions is his only skill, even if he constantly wastes precious materials, prompting Nian to ask about his hidden skill, which boasts a rare potion-enhancing effect. Though the kid quickly points out his abysmal success rate makes the talent completely useless. Our boy casually promises to cover every single copper of his potion brewing expenses, flashing a confident smirk that assures the kid this is a completely serious offer, prompting the newly named bird with no eggs left to realize his destiny is changing. Nian hands over a formal contract for the young alchemist to review, who nearly chokes upon seeing a massive 30% profit cut written in plain ink, but our boy insists his future potential is worth every single copper coin, leading the excited kid straight to a nearby shop for some high-tier crafting gear. This thief presents him with a massive herb-stuffed backpack that costs a small fortune, leaving the tearful alchemist hugging his new gear while promising to make them both filthy rich, as Nian watches him run off, resolving to raise this kid into a legendary grandmaster. With his first legendary recruit secured, Nian shifts his focus back to personal progression, setting his sights on a legendary thief artifact hidden deep within the ancient city of Sagat. Specifically, the legendary boots known as Sagat's Shadow, which are currently split into 3 scattered fragments. His journey leads him straight into the murky, fog-covered waters of the dangerous Natlan marshes, where he vows to claim the divine artifact before anyone else can steal his glory. Suddenly, the bubbling swamp water begins to churn violently right beneath his feet, as a level 6 swamp giant lizard lunges out of the muck with a ferocious roar. But our boy effortlessly leaps backward, dodging the beast's clumsy ambush with absolute ease. Drawing his twin daggers in midair, Nian prepares to deliver a swift, punishing counterattack, unleashing a devastating, vital strike that instantly shreds the oversized reptile's health bar to pieces. Nian stomps down with a heavy, splash-inducing kick to finish the job, unleashing a dual strike that completely obliterates the giant lizard in a flash of light. Realizing his upgraded gear makes hunting these high-level swamp monsters feel like a total breeze, though he must stay alert for hostile players while searching for a rare resurrection skill book. Suddenly, a strange, toxic green mist begins to swirl through the dead trees, causing our boy to stumble as a sudden wave of dizziness hits his system, forcing him to realize he has just walked straight into a deadly poison trap. Instantly activating his newly acquired swift retreat skill, Nian dodges a massive scaly tail, as a level 7 horned basilisk emerges from the fog to hunt him down, letting out a terrifying hiss as it prepares to swallow our boy whole. This giant basilisk swings its massive tail, shattering the dead trees and sending mud flying everywhere. Meanwhile, a high-level party is currently clearing out monsters nearby in the very same foggy marshlands. Their heavily armored berserker leader wonders why their scout hasn't returned from his pulling run yet, prompting their gorgeous holy mage, Suoli, to assume the thief simply gathered up every monster nearby, which the giant leader agrees with, noting they will have to venture much deeper to find targets. Right on cue, their panicked scout Candy comes leaping through the air with 3 massive lizards on his tail, forcing the berserker to immediately charge forward while commanding his mage to prepare her high-tier spells. As Suoli instantly begins channeling a devastating lightning spell, her staff crackling with immense magical energy, while the armored leader unleashes a devastating whirlwind slash that shreds through the incoming pack of monsters, allowing the mage to finish them off with a massive roaring thunderburst that vaporizes the remaining beasts. Nian delivers a brutal green blood splattering slash directly to the giant basilisk's chest, landing gracefully as the massive beast collapses into the swamp water behind him, while the nearby berserker leader commands his squad to rest before moving spots. Peerless scouting skills allow Nian to spot this high-level party from the shadows, but the armored leader immediately senses his presence, noting his impressive solo skills. This creepy, lollipop-sucking rogue and their party grins, eager for some sudden entertainment, instantly dashing forward into the fog to claim our boy as his personal prey. Sensing a sudden, massive wave of unprovoked killing intent washing over him, our boy watches the massive armored leader charge directly toward his hiding spot, prompting a confident smirk as he decides to redirect the swamp's deadly aggro their way. Nian gracefully leaps back as the massive basilisk crashes directly into the armored leader, leaving the startled warrior completely blindsided by the sudden deafening roar of the beast, which reveals itself as a terrifying high-level basilisk ready to tear their party apart. Forced into a corner, the armored leader barely blocks the monster's crushing bite with his greatsword, realizing too late that our boy deliberately dragged this scaly nightmare right to their doorstep. Suddenly, a crackling bolt of lightning strikes Nian from behind, shaving off a chunk of his health, triggering a system alert that Hanchi's elite party has officially initiated a hostile PvP battle, as their sneaky rogue lunges from the shadows to deliver a lethal backstab to our boy. But Nian spins around with blinding speed, landing a perfectly timed stun to halt the attacker, unleashing a flurry of counter sashes that forces the rogue into a desperate defensive struggle. This enemy rogue is completely stunned by our boy's lightning-fast reaction time and insane speed. Instantly activating his Silk Weaver's ring, Nian shoots a sticky thread toward the canopy, pulling himself up onto a high branch to let the giant lizard do the heavy lifting. Down below, the massive scaly beast lunges forward with its jaws wide open, forcing the furious armored leader to block the crushing bite with his massive greatsword. Screaming in absolute rage, the leader orders his rogue to hunt down the slippery thief, prompting Candy to flash a creepy grin before immediately activating his own stealth skill. This lollipop-sucking rogue vanishes into thin air, stalking through the branches like a ghost. Meanwhile, the gorgeous mage warns her party to stay alert since Nian has also disappeared, allowing our boy to casually apply a combat bandage while the lizard keeps them busy. Watching from the shadows, Nian notes the enemy's decent skills as the giant basilisk spews toxic green fire. Choking on the toxic fumes, the armored leader desperately orders his priest to cast a quick dispel, which is the exact moment of vulnerability our boy has been waiting for to strike. But the lollipop-sucking rogue quickly intercepts the command, shouting for an illumination spell instead, instantly exposing Nian's stealthy approach in a blinding flash of golden light, forcing our boy to clash blades with the grinning rogue in a high-stakes struggle. Smirking with his lollipop, the enemy rogue celebrates his successful prediction with absolute smugness, leaving Nian with no choice but to activate his rapid retreat to escape the trap, realizing this pesky glimmer mark will continuously reveal his exact position for the next 2 minutes, prompting him to quickly fall back and regroup before they can coordinate another deadly strike. Back in the fog, the priest asks Candy how on earth he managed to spot the thief, while their armored leader desperately struggles to hold off the giant scaly beast, ordering his squad to focus fire and burn down its remaining health bar. Meanwhile, Nian uses the chaos to scale a nearby cliff with absolute grace, realizing the low-health monster is about to make a desperate run for it. Right on cue, the giant reptile spews a massive cloud of toxic green mist, turning around to slither away into the deep swamp to save itself, prompting the greedy elite party to immediately give chase through the murky waters, which is a total godsend for our boy as he prepares to strike, diving down to intercept the beast and steal the kill right under their noses. Nian sprints forward, launching himself off the cliffside to intercept his fleeing target. Looking up, our boy spots the giant basilisk desperately trying to scale the rocky wall, swiftly firing a volley of sharp crossbow bolts to halt its escape, which strike the massive beast's tail and shave off its remaining health pool, allowing him to close the distance in a flash of blinding speed as Nian delivers a devastating vital strike to finish off the scaly monster, sending the giant reptile crashing down while dropping a rare, glowing skill book. Meanwhile, the elite party finally catches up to the scene by following the tracks, only to spot our boy casually pocketing the rare loot they worked so hard for, prompting the furious mage to immediately channel her lightning magic to blast him to pieces. Our boy flashes a smug wave, thanking the furious party for doing all the heavy lifting, before instantly sprinting away as a massive bolt of lightning scorches the muddy ground behind him, leaving him to marvel at his insane luck for securing the legendary priest's skill book. This rare find allows a priest to resurrect fallen allies, making it a truly priceless treasure. Activating a high-tier speed scroll, Nian transforms into a blur of pure kinetic energy, tearing through the dense marshland and leaving his frustrated pursuers completely in the dust, until his boots finally touch solid ground at the edge of a massive eerie ruin. System notification confirms he has officially discovered the legendary fog-shrouded Sagat ancient city. Stepping inside the crumbling stone fortress, our boy notes the generous experience points waiting for him, just as a glowing red-eyed skeleton warrior rises from the dust to welcome its new guest. This level 10 skeleton pilgrim lunges forward with a massive battle axe, its red eyes glowing with malice. But Nian effortlessly cleaves the fragile bony mob in half with a single devastating slash. Unfortunately, the sudden commotion awakens an entire army of undead guardians throughout the ancient hall as a horde of cloaked skeleton warriors begins closing in on our boy from behind. Realizing he is completely outnumbered, Nian swiftly leaps backward to avoid their coordinated strike, instantly activating his trusty silk weaver's ring to shoot a sticky thread toward the high ceiling, pulling himself up to a safe stone balcony while leaving the confused monsters far below, where he notices a mysterious glowing blue scroll left behind on the dusty floor. Picking it up, our boy identifies it as a rare scroll of summon spirit, which will serve as a perfect disposable meat shield for his dangerous exploration ahead. Slicing his palm, Nian drips a drop of blood onto the glowing blue parchment, triggering a massive vortex of swirling spiritual energy that lights up the dark ruins, as a level 10 Wraith assassin emerges from the mist, boasting high stealth and self-destruct skills. Pointing toward the undead horde, our boy confidently orders his new minion to clear the path, but the summon's hollow eyes suddenly flare with a terrifying unhinged purple light. Instantly turning on its master as a critical system warning alerts him of a control backlash. Activating his rapid retreat, Nian barely dodges a lethal purple crescent slash from his own summon, only for the spectral killer to instantly phase through the shadows and reappear right behind him, unleashing a blindingly fast combo that shreds through our boy's health while heavily suppressing his stats, before delivering a final brutal strike that leaves him completely stunned and at its mercy. This spectral assassin stands completely dazed, its purple eyes flickering as the stun effect locks it down. Taking advantage of the brief window, Nian quickly wraps a combat bandage to restore his health, before launching himself back into the fray with his twin daggers bared for a counterattack. Our boy delivers a swift cross slash, shaving the rogue summon's health bar down to 36%. But the drop in health triggers an automatic self-destruct sequence, making the creature swell with explosive energy, leaving him with only seconds to finish the job before the entire room goes up in flames. Stomping his foot down, Nian leaps high and unleashes a devastating vital strike from above, which successfully shatters the spectral killer into harmless wisps of smoke just in the nick of time. As the dust settles, our boy notices a strange glowing object left behind by his rebellious summon, revealing a cursed skull from the dark faction that forces a high-stakes gamble on his very destiny. Legend says this dark underground tomb is a paradise for necromancers and rotting undead creatures, and Nian holds the 3 dice of destiny, realizing his future knowledge won't help him here. But our boy refuses to back down, determined to challenge fate rather than cower in fear. Clenching his fist to activate the artifact, which instantly summons a massive swirling vortex of energy, a massive bone-carved die materializing right before his eyes, crackling with unpredictable magical power, prompting him to swipe his hand forward to set the chaotic game of chance in motion, while the giant block spins wildly in the air, waiting for his command to halt, only to land on a red 3, slapping him with a permanent plague weakness curse, instantly draining 10 points of his strength while dark purple energy wraps around his body. Though he shrugs off the minor stat loss, praying the next roll doesn't bring something worse. Shouting a quick command, Nian stops the spinning block, which lands on a solid 5, instantly rewarding him with a powerful high-tier temple skill called Undead Rite, which allows him to dominate undead creatures and speedrun through high-level grinding zones. Stealing his resolve, our boy prepares for his final roll of the destiny dice, calling a sudden halt as the magical energy swirls into a blinding vortex, only for the massive bone block to land on a red 5 yet again. Staring up in disbelief, the kid wonders what kind of insane reward awaits him this time, as a legendary, intricately carved cube known as Pandora's Box materializes right above his palm. Reading the description, he discovers this mythical artifact is a high-stakes item synthesizer, giving him a risky 10% chance to upgrade his gold-tier gear into legendary dark gold equipment. Staring at the spinning dial, Ni Yan uses his thief precision to land a massive luck boost. Trading 10 strength points is a steal, especially since he can now synthesize advanced gear later on. At that exact moment, he must survive as a sudden dark energy beam shoots across the stone corridor, which curves upward and violently crashes into the ancient ceiling, sending debris raining down, allowing our boy to stick a perfect superhero landing amidst a swirl of dark spiritual energy, only to realize his path has led him straight into the legendary combat-heavy Sogat arena. Suddenly, a massive pile of ancient bones begins to rattle and assemble itself right behind him, fusing together into a towering, terrifying skeletal monstrosity that roars with absolute bloodlust. Revealing a level 10 skeleton fighter leader whose massive level advantage makes direct combat a suicide mission, forcing Ni Yan to immediately activate his newly acquired Undead Right skill to turn the tables. Dark purple energy wraps around the giant skeleton as Ni Yan attempts to tame it, but the spell fails instantly, prompting the massive beast to roar in absolute fury, forcing our boy to activate his rapid retreat to dodge a devastating bone-crushing strike. Quickly channeling his dark magic once more to force the stubborn monster into submission, which finally succeeds, prompting a system notification to name his newly acquired undead servant. Dubbing his new giant tank Dark Gladiator, he notes its 3-hour lifespan with pragmatic satisfaction, as the monster's eyes flare with a loyal glowing purple light of obedience, immediately ordering his massive pet to intercept another hostile skeleton charging through the ruins. This giant gladiator easily grabbing its opponent's tail with a massive iron-chained claw, slamming the hostile beast into the stone floor with absolute bone-shattering force. This battered skeleton warrior struggles to rise from the rubble, its red eyes glowing with desperate fury. But our giant gladiator leaps high into the air, delivering a crushing blow that shatters the stone floor, pinning the struggling monster down with its massive armored hand to seal its fate, before unleashing a final brutal stomp that completely obliterates the hostile beast into dust. This massive overkill instantly grants Nian enough experience points to level up to level 6, while a pair of gold-grade gladiator spalders drops right into his hands as a sweet bonus. Patting his giant skeletal tank on the shoulder, our boy praises its incredible combat performance, ready to lead his new loyal bodyguard deeper into the dark, crumbling ruins of the ancient city, where a fresh group of skeleton pilgrims immediately marches out to greet them, completely unaware that a nearby elite party is currently struggling to survive the exact same mobs. Meanwhile, a struggling elite party discusses how absolutely suicidal it is to solo this high-level dungeon, prompting their blue-haired priest to suggest they take things slow and steady to avoid wiping. But the masked thief suddenly cuts him off, pointing toward a terrifying sight in the distance. A lone player stands shrouded in dark purple energy, flanked by a horde of undead servants, leaving the party completely dumbfounded as they struggle to identify this mysterious player's class. At that exact moment, Ni Yan recognizes their usernames as legendary top-tier experts from his past life, while the sweating priest grips his staff, terrified that this overpowered thief might sick his summons on them. Our boy simply smirks, knowing these future legends are currently nothing compared to his current power. As Ni Yan begins walking their way, the panicked party prepares for the absolute worst, only for him to casually stroll right past them, leaving the stunned players breathing a massive sigh of relief. This exhausted warrior and elf girl slump against the wall, completely overwhelmed by Ni Yan's terrifying presence. Meanwhile, the masked thief mutters in disbelief before catching a glimpse of our boy's legendary username, instantly sending the blue-haired priest into a panic upon hearing the name of that legendary god.